Hello, everybody. It's your old friends at Monday Madness, and welcome to the latest episode of GrapsWatch, the show that is about the unprofessional world of professional wrestling. And we're taking a very different turn to the other side of the wrestling sphere on this one, as we're going to be previewing AEW's All-In show from Wembley Stadium that's happening this weekend. It's perhaps one of the biggest shows of the year in the wrestling calendar, whether it be from WWE, AEW, or elsewhere in the year that is. So we're going to be talking about the match card to see how it's shaping up, and overall the significance and consequence of what this Wembley show could be. Will this be the kickstart to the alternative that people are yearning for from WWE, or will it be more of the same just for the sickos and no one else? That's what we're going to be discussing on this episode of GrapsWatch. This is our, I suppose, our official kind of preview pod for AEW's All-In show, which is obviously their biggest show of the year. Their kind of WrestleMania equivalent, shall we say, without being too much on the nose on that one. Naturally, that of course means it's in the biggest arena they can get, which is in this case Wembley. Not the first time they've done Wembley, of course. I think this is now their third time in Wembley. Over the last, is it
Four?
second? Or is it fourth? It could be fourth, actually. Yeah.
They skipped one because they did all in Texas.
Yes, they
So I
did
think
Dallas,
it's
they
their
did in
fourth,
Dallas
yeah.
last year. Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yes, they would have done. They've done Wembley a couple of times anyway. Moral of the story. So this is not unusual for them in this respect to run it. Obviously it makes for a great spectacle in that sense, and it's nice to see that, like, a alternative to WWE can sell out a stadium, can not necessarily sell out a stadium, but certainly pack a stadium that big.
They
Maybe too
certainly ain't
big. That's
fucking
a
sell it out, Wembley.
no, definitely not. But like certainly it is a stylistic choice to pick a venue that big. But
Yes.
I suppose, like, we're gonna be cutting this preview pod into two parts, as you mentioned in the intro. So in a way, we're kind of like on the two sides of the tracks here in terms of, like, anyone who's kind of listened to the pod since it started will be fairly well documented that we have kind of a split in the room in terms of, like, advocacy for AEW. So like some of us watch the show, some of us watch the product, and some of us don't. And there's kind of various different reasons as to why we don't, and what kind of, like, what is the kind of like the reasons for that. So I suppose to kind of prime what Dave and Kieran will be talking about later on, Aaron, is at a glance, we have a couple of matches already announced for the show.
Mhm.
And I think it's particularly a big show like this, if we're using WrestleMania logic, it lives and dies by the main event, or main events in this case. So, and I know we are a few weeks away, so we don't have the full card with us, but the actual main event is Kenny Omega, heel Kenny Omega against Will Ospreay, naturally the kind of, as it were, hometown babyface. Women's championship then between Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné, which are throwing quite a lot of heat into to try and elevate that up the match card as well. Um, I think I said in the previous pod that Omega Ospreay is a very AEW main event.
Oh,
Um,
very AEW. Couldn't get in any
yeah.
more AEW main event. We'll have it even boxing for it.
So, like, is that so it goes back to my kind of my kind of speculation of, like, is this a sort of match that is going to work for an all-in show, both for the core fan and for people perhaps looking in to try and get stuck into AEW? What would you think?
Well, I mean, I think it all just boils down to what you want from wrestling.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, I
yeah,
mean, it's not new. You know who would also, if you even have a passing internet kind of view on wrestling,
yeah.
you know who both lads are anyway.
Mm,
If you're gonna, if I don't know. It's the mid card that will get people in. That's where
okay.
you need to, I think, get them in properly.
Mm,
Um, but not the main event. The main event is for the sickles. Everything else is. Do you know? Do you know what will be the match to get the casuals in and the first timers in?
yeah.
it'll be the morning.
Mm,
Because that'll be an actual wrestling match. I think. I think
yeah.
the two of them the two of them will actually put on a really good match
Mm,
because I've watched enough of Willow Nightingale and all. She's clearly very fucking good, and we obviously know Mercedes is good anyway. So that goes without saying. That'll be the match. I think that if that goes well,
mm.
that could do a bit more than the main does because the main's for the sickos. That's the match that'll do it. Maybe the Continental Classic match as well, whichever match that will end up being. I don't know who's in that tournament. The other one I know is what's Eddie Kingston is the only name I know off the top of my head that's in it.
Yeah. Well, Moxley himself is
And
in it to
maybe
defend the
Ambrose.
title. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah.
it's kind of premised as a kind of as basically a FA Cup style format. So like basically it is essentially knockout, but the champion um also takes part in it. So one would assume that the like that Moxley will make it to the final, and then take on whoever gets to the end. So anyone who is aware of the brackets then will kind of see then where that
I
where that
mean,
matches out.
I obviously don't know I don't know the brackets. Obviously, if you want to get them up, get them up. But I think
Hmm.
the natural end point there really should be Mox and Kingston,
Hmm.
and give the two indiest of indie wrestlers from the mid 2000s kind of their biggest match ever at Wembley would
Yeah.
be, I think, the obvious choice here. Um, but yeah, I don't know about anything else. I
Hmm.
think they'll be the matches. The rest of it is just going to be kind of like icing on the cake. But they're the two I think that can work. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Mox, I love Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's class. I said Eddie Kingston's class since about 2007.
Hmm.
He could look like some people think he looks like a sack of shit, but he doesn't. It's a different kind of like he might look like a sack of shit, but he also looks like a fella who could take a job and perfect. You know what I mean? Like that's why I like him
Yeah.
because he looks like an actual maniac.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that'll be the man. The main is not going to be it. The main's going to be the flippy shit, the over exaggerated nonsense,
Mm.
the fucking 15 near falls and 45 finishers and one of them will
Let,
do a finisher and the other one will do his own finisher and this will happen and that will happen and
mm.
blah blah blah
Well,
blah.
let's look into that a little bit. So obviously, we said that this is the sort of main event that the Corey AW fan would want, and obviously they made the decision now to turn Omega heel as opposed to going into the match with a face versus face perspective, which again I don't think is any particularly wrong answer in that respect. But nevertheless, you do have the sort of match that like is intended for the core fan base. But much like as we're calling, like, if we're using a kind of a comparison with WrestleMania, WrestleMania tends to use its main event not necessarily for to reward the kind of long-standing fan that's watching it over the year. I think they probably would pick a different main event if they were watching it from start to finish. But WrestleManias kind of have their own internal timeline in that respect. That's why we see a lot of
Mm.
sequels at WrestleManias and stuff like this. AEW obviously trying their best to kind of deviate from what we expect from WWE programming. Obviously, you're trying to kind of like churn the card a lot, expect like more different people in the main event. Obviously, last year we had the phenomenal kind of farewell to Bryan Danielson, so that was an example of them. Or sorry, 2024, I should say, had the farewell to Bryan Danielson,
Oh yeah.
and they obviously seem to have a kind of a level of a payoff to each of those stories, yeah, and each of those matches. Seeing that we're not avid or constant kind of what viewers of AEW. What do you think that All In needs to do? If you were to sit down and watch All In now, in a couple of weeks' time, what are you expecting from it to kind of draw you back in? That kind of moment of like, you son of a bitch, you got me. Is the product missing for you that will get
Give
you
the
intrigued again?
give the women's match 25 minutes with interest.
Is it just women's division, or do you feel like it's more like an ensemble? The mid card needs to kind of come back to form a little bit.
Let Mox and Kingston do their thing, right?
Mm,
I think we both know what that'll end up being anyway. And then let the women do their thing.
hmm
This is it now. Tony Khan cannot give them like 10 minutes. He's got to give them 25 minutes without interest.
Yeah.
bell to bell and let them just go because
Mm.
the two of them can do it. And maybe a little bit of fuckery halfway through because we all know how the main event's going to end, so we know that one.
Yeah.
But give either women. If you're going to go with the obvious answer, it would probably be Monet because it's the only belt she hasn't had yet. So, at least as far as I'm aware, it's the only belt she hasn't had yet, isn't it? Has she
I'm not
not
too
had?
sure. I thought she's already had it, but I could be wrong.
Do you know what? While we talk, I would look that up.
Yeah, because I'm really sure they've checked that already. But
Uh, they. I don't think they have. I don't think she's won it. I think when she
yeah.
had all the belts, she didn't actually hold that one.
Interesting. Well, then
Oh.
that's the that's the answer then in that respect. So yeah. Um.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so um, give. So if you want to go for the obvious answer, you give Monet her big win at Wembley.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go the opposite route,
Mm.
having Willow Nightingale beat Monet at the biggest wrestling show of the year
Hmm.
would be a ballsy move on their
Yeah.
end.
Not
Like
impossible, of
yeah, no,
course. Like it is
no,
entirely
it's not.
likely. Yeah.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible at all. But I think most people would. I think even if Dave was here, like yeah, Monet is probably going to win that. Um, but yeah, that would be the ballsy one,
Mm.
because we're going to get the big emotional Englishman wins a World Wrestling Championship in Wembley moment, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's other matches there as well. You have El Idolo, is that how you pronounce it?
El
Why
Idolo.
am I? Yeah,
Mm.
him against MJF and against whoever the third man is. That could also be
It's
a
a casino gauntlet. Yeah. So that's
yeah,
it.
it's Casino Gone. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's another one that could also bring people in.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of this show will probably depend on the women's match and the Continental one.
Mm.
I think if you don't fuck those two matches up, I think you can he can hang his hat in that. Because we all know what the main is going to be. We
Mm.
know that the Kyle Fletcher,
Kyle
Kyle
Fletcher. Oh,
Fletcher
yeah.
uh,
Easy
versus
for you to say.
Takesha and Okada, that'll just be whatever.
Mm.
And so kind of falling in for fucking what 20 minutes.
It could be. I
That's
mean,
on.
it is a very New Japan match, so it could go on a while. In
Yeah,
fairness, yeah.
yeah. Um, you have the tag team match with Edge and Christian,
Mm.
and the Young Bucks is just going to be shite. Oh, it's going to be fucking awful. Just even reading it is like, oh. So that's it. And you have what Divine Dominion.
Yeah, so that'll
Nikki
be the
Cross and
women's
Megan
tag team match.
Page.
Yeah. And again, Windsor and Hayter are being kind of local favorites as well. So that's a kind of like
That's probably going to do it as well. Yeah,
yeah,
they'll probably get it.
yeah,
But yeah, the whole card will depend on whether they can pull off that women's match, pull off the Continental Classic, and hoping against hope that the main isn't too shite. But at the
but
same time, it's going to be the worst match I've ever seen entirely. I just know it right now.
yeah. Well, I suppose that's what
Do
remains
you
to
know
be
what I
seen.
mean?
Yeah. So as I said, so that's from our side of the tracks. But we're going to cut now to Dave and Kieran, who's going to give their perspective because they are not at the moment out in Glasgow, but they will be in Glasgow after the tapings of Dynamite and Collision, and I'm going to give their thoughts on both the tapings and on all in overall. So we'll pass it to you, future Dave and future Kieran.
And now it's time to talk about the other promotion in the world of wrestling. Myself and Kieran have been fans of AEW for a long, long time.
Since the
We've been
beginning.
to shows since the beginning. Yeah, we've been to countless shows. We've been to live tapings of, Dynamite and Collision, and this is my third All In. Kieran, you've been to the first two, and you've
Yeah.
been to All Out in Chicago, I believe. Were you in Chicago?
No, Double or Nothing in Vegas.
Double or Nothing in Vegas. That was the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's coming into All In week, the biggest week for AEW, and we were at the taping of Collision and Dynamite. in Glasgow last night, and I'm going to All In. You have Bon Jovi, unfortunately, which is why you're not at
I
Wembley
don't
this
know.
year. But going into it, I think I've said this before, and I've been saying it for the last, I'd say about a year and 3 months, that AEW is on a steady, controlled upwards trajectory. It's not
Mhm.
shooting to the moon. There's just a consistency where it's growing, growing, growing. And it's got its cities where it can hit 15,000, it can hit 20,000 for pay-per-view, it can hit 10,000 for Dynamite. You look at Mexico, Grand Slam in Mexico was 16,000 for the states are going to be popular in, and ultimately, Kieran, I think AEW at the moment is on a healthy trajectory. I don't think there's much in the way of
It's in a healthier
anything bad
place.
going.
For me, it's in a healthier place than the internet would have you believe.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
if you look at the internet, if you again, I'm aware of the irony that we're on the internet doing this. But if you listen to the internet, it's been dying for the last 4 years since the first All In. Really,
yeah,
since the events of the first All In, we're not getting involved in
yeah,
that one. That it's been dying ever since then. That they've been going the wrong direction. It hasn't been working. What I think has happened has been a shot to the moon immediately because it was the alternative.
yeah,
It was an alternative. People flocked to it because it was not WWE. It was
yeah.
not like, I think at the time WWE was having Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin, loser eats dog food matches. I think it was in
Yeah,
around that.
2019 was a dark time for WWE. And
Yeah,
at that point, AEW was Cody Rhodes. It was the Elite. It was that
yeah.
kind of that.
It was
It
complete.
wasn't at a peak yet, but it was definitely heading that way.
Yeah, and people came in, they saw more wrestling. I'm not going to say it was
Yep.
all good. They saw
Nope.
more wrestling, less promos, less fine. It wasn't as bad with advertisements as WWE is now, but there
Mhm.
was less downtime. It was match, 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 and people wanted that at the time. Then the pandemic hit, and again, we had nothing else to do but watch wrestling.
Yeah.
And they put on Dark, they put on a lot of the stuff was also available on YouTube. So
Yes. This
they
was
gained an
pre-TV deal.
audience. They gained an audience, and then as everything happens, people decided WWE stepped up their game massively. Number one, WWE did step up their game, but also AEW lost their way a little bit. They fell into the trap I think TNA fell in 2 years ago, where if you're released by WWE, you have to come here as
Yeah.
two fingers. They fell into that trap,
Yeah,
and
it became the WCW/TNA.
yeah,
If you're rejected by WWE, come over here and we'll
yeah,
make you a bigger star.
they fell into that trap, and to an extent they're still in there. However, it's now working both ways,
It's
and
now, and it's now,
I'll talk about that as well.
yeah, I find it a lot less WWE heavy now, AEW, and the ones that are there, I will talk about Andrade because he has impressed me extremely over the last couple of months.
This run,
Yeah,
he
this
has.
run is his run. Yeah,
Yeah, previous runs not so much. Previous runs you could,
no,
and again he was going through stuff with Charlotte. He wasn't
yeah, his head wasn't in it.
I mean, his heart wasn't in wrestling, and you
Yeah,
can see it through his first AEW reign and his first his return to WWE as well.
yeah,
As you say, now they're doing what they probably should have done back 2019.
yeah,
Slow growth, controlled and controlled storyline progression. I mean, we've come off, and it wasn't for everybody, the Swerve Hangman, which was a long built out storyline. Again, it wasn't for everyone. For some people, it got too violent. It went too into the realm of I can't believe that. Similar, a long title run for Moxley.
yeah,
Again, the same, but the build up was Hangman Page's redemption, building up.
yeah,
You have and we'll talk about it when we get to the card. Takeshita and Okada's feud, and that's been a very slow burn due to Takeshita being off in the G1.
And they've had one match already, which was up for match of the
Yeah,
year at one point.
exactly. It
People
was
were
a
talking
very
about
good
it.
match, and now you've thrown in Kyle Fletcher as being a real success story.
Exactly.
As
Great heel.
a real success story. If you want to start talking success stories about AEW, Kyle Fletcher, Kevin Knight, people who are coming in, people who've come in as indies, not as ex-WWE and building their way through.
Yeah.
Fletcher came through fine. He's part of the Don Callis family. It is what it is. I'm not a massive fan of the whole Don. I'm not a massive fan of just anybody who's a heel goes into the Don Callis family. And that seems to be a part of the way they're going. But it's a great way to make a baby face when you break from it. Look at Will Ospreay, look at Andrade El Idolo, look at Konosuke Takeshita. That when you leave the Don Callis family, people want you out of that.
Yeah. And I mean, the first All In was the peak because obviously AEW is only just now getting over the CM Punk fallout because that almost crippled the company in terms of attendance. People, the crowd, the fans flocked to the side of CM Punk. Tony made the stupid move of that promo of I Fear for My Life. Releasing
Never mind
the footage.
I Fear for My Life. He then put the footage up. I mean, and all we got from him putting that footage was a god awful Young Bucks turn.
Yeah, that's it.
Nothing came from it. And we spoke about it not when it happened, but a couple of days when they said, "Oh, he's releasing the footage." There was nothing to be gained from releasing that footage.
No,
either it shows CM Punk was right, in which case you look like an idiot putting it out, or CM Punk did something ridiculous, in which case, why are you putting it out there and not sending it to the police? There was nowhere there was nothing to be done with that. Best thing he could have done was done a complete parody spoof of that.
That would have been good. And I mean,
do something like the very old Jonathan, and I know you'll probably remember them as well. The Huckster and
Nacho Man.
Just do something like that with it. At least it will get people to. At least it would have got people talking more than releasing that grainy, shitty footage.
The Ted Turner spoofs.
Yeah.
I feel like we were at Mania. We were all in one, and it was Mania levels. Like, I mean, it was a real shame that there was a fallout for that because there was just under 80,000 people in Wembley for a wrestling show that wasn't WWE. I mean, it still is a remarkable achievement, no matter what people think of it. We were there, and we were glad we were there. It was a magical moment,
and it was a fantastic event as well. I mean, for in ring, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And I would go so far as to say the following year in ring surpassed it. And that is what AEW immediately had to pivot to.
Yeah, because even the setup, the setup was better the second year, I thought. The ramp was amazing. The production
they also had to pivot to in-ring action. They had to pivot from what they were doing, which was, a bit of sports entertainment, a bit of everything.
Yeah.
They lost what I call the sports entertainment fans. They lost the fans that were just following, that were there for CM Punk, that were there for the sports entertainment style. They had to become a genuine alternative. They genuinely had to become the alternative, which, as I said, in places they've got it wrong.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they've had to pivot away from trying to appeal to everybody and appeal to their core fan base, grow that core fan base, bring in, I'll give an example. I'm going, with us, we're going on Wednesday.
Yes.
We will have Dan and Ryan, my brother and my 10-year-old nephew, going to his first AEW show. Who has since been asking me, who's your favorite wrestler? Who are the wrestlers? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Looking up AEW where he previously never would have. Because he gets to go. What I will also say that they do quite well is their pricing. They make it for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, it cost us what, £30 for me. A ticket, which for 6 hours of wrestling, people are like, 6 hours is too much. And we're like, well, you're getting your money's worth for it. You know, it's 6 hours of wrestling. You get 2 tape shows, plus you get Ring of Honor beforehand.
Is there Ring of Honor
Um,
beforehand? I haven't
There
been paying
was, yeah.
attention.
I was at Dynamite Collision last year in Glasgow, and you had Ring of Honor, then Dynamite, then Collision, which is probably why it ran for 6 hours. They might not have Ring of Honor because they'll have Ring of Honor before All In this year. You know the way they normally do.
Well,
Ring
they
of
had
Honor.
Ring of Honor last night. They had a pay-per-view last night, so
Yeah, so they probably won't have it on Wednesday.
Maybe they will do something. I don't know.
Yeah, but either way, it's 30 quid a ticket. It's affordable. Put it this way, my All In ticket costs the same as my ticket for Dynamite Collision. Yeah, I mean, you cannot go wrong for the value of them tickets.
And I would have happily paid it. I would have happily brought Ryan. I would have happily brought Dan. Victoria probably would have gone as well. We would have done the exact same thing that we've done every year. You know, book the hotel near enough to Wembley. You know, keep it as cheap as you can. You can do that. For example, the first time I went to Mania, I went to 20. No, was it 20? Wasn't no. 29. Sorry, yeah, 29 in New York. And it was $100 at the time for the tickets. So even at that, even accounting for inflation, whatever we're doing, I would still be getting into the biggest show of AEW's year for less than I'm getting in. So they have made it affordable for fans.
Yeah, I mean, we got a hotel. Nowhere near Wembley now, mind you, but I was shopping around for hotels, and we managed to get a 5-star for like 308 quid for 2 nights. And it's like, it's affordable for the hotels, it's affordable for the ticket, the transport is affordable for the most part. And you know,
It's a great day out.
Yeah. Oh, look, if you're going to All In, and especially this year, there's a few more people I know that are going this year as well. I've said to them, this is a weekend away. It doesn't matter if the card is great, and we'll move on to the card very shortly. But the way they've done it is you go to Box Park beforehand, you grab food, you're in among everyone. Normally Rev Pro, Progress, Rev Pro having the show the night before, Progress are having the show the night after. Or the other way around, can't remember which one. But anyway, there's normally tons of fans there. There's normally Progress and Rev Pro wrestlers just literally kicking about. Trenton Seven is normally whoring himself about in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And then you've got, the walk to Wembley Way. You've got the walk to the Arch. And it's just, even if you have no interest in AEW, I said this to a few wrestling fans that have never really watched it, you go for the experience. You go for the weekend away with your mates to a wrestling
at that price
show.
You have to.
Oh yeah.
At that price you would be mad not to. And I don't want to get into WWE bashing. I don't want to start complaining about WWE.
No, I've nothing to say about WWE.
Given we're talking about AEW here. But for instance, we've got Raw coming over to Dublin in January. I can guarantee you we'll pay more probably than I paid for the 5 tickets for Glasgow for 1 ticket in the O2.
Yeah, I would say
I would be shocked if it's not in.
I would say the 3 arena show for Raw, and again, we're not WWE bashing here. We're basing it on SmackDown ticket prices.
Yeah.
My hotel for 2 nights costs less than what a SmackDown ticket costs for live in Dublin.
I don't
for 2 nights in central London.
Now, I know they're starting to learn.
I hope. Yeah.
With the fact that they had to reduce prices dramatically for SummerSlam, I do hope that they're learning that they're pricing the fans out of it. And if you can't go to a WrestleMania, if you can't go to a Raw taping, a SmackDown taping, why should you follow? Why would you follow the product? I mean, if it's not accessible for you, why do you follow it? And look, that's going across everything. That's going across that's going across bands. That's going across football. That's not just limited to wrestling. That's across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last time I went to a concert purely because it's upwards of £100 a ticket, and I'm just like, I just can't afford it. But someone asked me,
justify it either. Yeah.
No, someone asked me recently, what would what's the max you would pay for a ticket for Raw in the 3 arena? And I was like, the max I would probably pay is about 150. Being realistic here, counting inflation and counting all of that.
That would have to be, I think so.
And that I don't care where that is. I mean, the 150 is the max what I would pay for WWE.
And that gets expensive when you've got say for instance, take my example, myself, Dan, and Ryan. There's no kids concessions, so you're paying 450 quid.
Yeah.
Immediately that's before You go for something to eat. That's before you have a drink. That's
Yep.
before the 10-year-old kid
Merchandise.
wants to get a t-shirt
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
And there's people that go to these shows, and I'm not trying to disrespect them at all. And maybe it's out of jealousy to wish I had that much money, but there's dads that go with the kids and drop $5,000 at these shows and $3,000 at these shows, and that's all on just tickets, merch, and all that stuff. They buy the kids like a belt each, which is like 500 quid. They
For
buy
me,
them,
that I would
t-shirts
rather
and
spend that
stuff, and
money
I'm
on a
like,
holiday. I'd
oh
rather
yeah,
take.
exactly. But I'm just,
I'd rather take the kids to. I'd rather like for the money they're paying for that. You could go to Disneyland for a week. You
yeah,
could,
there's so
or
much you
for
can do.
argument's sake, you could go to as many indie shows. You could buy a season, a year-long season ticket
Yeah.
for whatever your your indie show off choice is.
Yeah, yeah. It is, and and I know everyone says, "Oh, you do we have to drop the ticket prices because blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Well, if they're dropping ticket prices, go." Why are you looking at that as a negative? If they're dropping ticket prices because the attendance isn't fully there, I don't. After the fallout and after all out or all in the second time round, still they've surpassed. I think it's 40,036 tickets that have been sold so far, or at least distributed, right?
So what was it the second time we were there? It's about 40,000 the second time we were at 38
Second
maybe?
time, let me double check.
Yeah, give me a second.
Because it was
Give me a
2024 and
second.
they had it in Texas the year after.
It was Texas last year. Texas was 21,000 last year. No.
Yeah,
21,000 last year.
which was shocking for an all in. Wembley was 53,000.
46,000
right?
officially.
Okay, so 46,000 is what they gave officially. 45 to 46 is what they're projected to hit this year. So having that consistent 46 and 46 the year after, that's not bad. Having I'm not this isn't WWE and you're still getting 40,000 people through the gate.
Yep.
That's not bad at all. You can officially call yourself the number 2 because unless TNA comes along and does lockdown in
Fenway,
Wembley or
not Fenway or Foxborough or something like that.
Yeah, if TNA goes to the American Stadium and does 40,000 for lockdown, then the Georgia Dome or something like that, and they fill that thing out. Then I'd be like, okay, they're competitors. But AEW getting 40,000 plus through Wembley consistently 2 years on the trot, not counting last year. You can call yourself the number 2, 110%.
It's still absolutely acceptable. I mean, this whole thing that you have to have 80,000 every year.
Yeah.
Not realistic. You have what was it, 92 the last time there was a major pay-per-view in the UK.
Yeah. Now we're having consistent nearly every year.
Leaving out Insurrection. Now you've got that every year. You've got something coming to the UK every year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
mean, you have Clash in Cardiff, Clash in Scotland, Money in the Bank normally goes around there.
London does a couple of SmackDowns and Raws a year.
Unless you're Saudi Arabia, that is what we're looking at. In the grand scheme of things, that's what the American companies are going to be looking at. And the fact that AEW have sort of said, yeah, we want England or UK as one of our main pieces. They've done Cardiff, they've done Manchester, they've done Glasgow a couple of times. I'd love for them to come to Dublin.
Clash in France, Clash in Italy.
Yep.
They've done Europe.
I'd love to see more wrestling in Europe. But that's the reality that, they're what you get. So you take the 46,000 or whatever we get next week and be happy with it. I don't know. I don't know if Glasgow's a sellout, but
Glasgow's not. Now I did look at the tickets available for Glasgow, and it is very sparse. The Hydro is a big venue. Now, when I was there the last time, there was quite a lot of people. I think they broke 10K. They may struggle with that this year. It was quite successful last year, and I'm quite surprised by the attendance for this year. Let me just see if I can find out.
I would also say, just for everything, when we start talking about tickets aren't available, let's not forget it is living is expensive right now. Just across the board, people don't have the spare money that they even for 30 quid tickets. I know a lot of people are struggling. Will be struggling for that even, and that's so. Again, it is something that I know the internet wants to beat people over the head with. What are they talking about now?
So actually, I tell a lie. So far for Wednesday, they've got 7,123. That is very good.
Yeah,
Very good. The setup is 8,000, so they're not far off hitting their current setup total, which is all they do is block off the top bowl, or at least some of that top bowl. What they did last year was they basically made the hard cam side the left, so
Yeah.
they cut off a lot of the top of the left hand side and left everything on the right because obviously, yeah, it looks optics are better that way. But 7,000 over 7,000 when it's Wednesday and they could still sell some tickets. If they hit 7,500 for Collision and Dynamite tapings in Glasgow, that's
it's
good.
not bad.
In my
Yeah, it's
opinion,
not
that's
bad.
good.
Don't forget, it's also Champions League night for Celtic. There's a lot of there's a lot of European games. I think most of the Scottish teams, Dave, you know more than I do. I think
Yeah, most of them are
away.
Thursday. Rangers are Conference League, Motherwell Conference League, Hibs Conference League, Hearts Conference League. So
yeah, but I think
the only Champions League is Celtic.
I think most of them are away as well.
Yeah, so Celtic have a 3-1. You know, they're going in. They have a high.
But I think most of the matches are away.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So you have
the pubs will be rammed.
Yeah,
you know.
But I think you'll have people who will be split on that one.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if we look at going into Dynamite and Collision on Wednesday, what I'm expecting the matches to be some talent who won't be at All In, who will get matches on Wednesday, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of filler, but also a lot of promo build up for the feuds. I'm expecting big pop for Edge and Christian. I'm expecting big pop for their kind of. They might do an in ring with the Young Bucks. I know the pop that Edge got last year in Glasgow was fucking insane.
Speaking of that, if we want to run down the card, that feud needs a little bit of something for me. That feud's been a bit all over the place where they're on the same page. We respect each other. We like each other. Oh, we're super kicking or we're spearing each other by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're having to stare down. There's nothing really taken off on that one yet.
Yeah, that one for me is a bit of a. It's not cold by any means, but I think they backed themselves into a corner.
The problem is it's a dream match for all four people.
Yeah, and both of them are faces because the Young Bucks know nobody wants to see a heel Young Bucks again because that was shit the last time around.
Yeah,
nobody wants it. Boring as hell. It's like FTR. They actually left, and I'm quite happy that they've taken a break because that heel FTR were the stalest thing in wrestling until they left.
it had gone off.
Yeah, I was fucking terrible.
So what I think, and again, possibly jumping into a little bit of fancy booking and prediction scoring, is they might do 2 or 3 They might do 2 of Edge and Christian against the Young Bucks. They might, they might split them and then split them apart for a bit and come back for a finale. Maybe. I know Edge has said the Tokyo Dome he wants to.
Yeah, and he's got Maple Leaf Gardens with Maple Leaf Pro in October, which sold out in minutes, by the way. That's 20,000 people in that venue for wrestling for Maple Leaf Pro. Again, another outstanding achievement for independent wrestling in North America. I believe you're potentially over there in October, but I don't know whether that coincides with his final match. I don't know.
All of a sudden, might do, but I know he said he wants to do the Tokyo Dome, and that for me, I think isn't that Wrestle Dream? That's normally January that they do Wrestle Dream.
Wrestle Dream is not January this year.
Wrestle Dream. What's the January one that they do?
They
normally do one around January. I can't remember the name of it, but if they do that one around January, like you could have Edge's final match in the Tokyo Dome. Wrestle Kingdom's New Japan.
Yeah. So in January, let's see. In January of 2020, Revolution.
No, Revolution's November. Typically,
Wrestle Dynasty, Tokyo Dome.
That's the one. Wrestle Dynasty.
In Tokyo Dome. That may be,
and that's normally a Forbidden Door, and that's normally a Forbidden Door-esque sort of thing where so it wouldn't surprise me if they split, because don't forget they're still waiting on the Motor City Machine Guns to finish up their music tour.
Yeah. Still think that's hilarious.
They had to bring them out in Detroit because
it's Detroit. It's
you had no when else are you going to debut the Motor City Machine Guns?
Exactly.
So if you ask me to look into a crystal ball, Cage and Cope to win in Wembley.
Yeah.
Either through shenanigans, Christian being Christian, whatever it may be, and
Yeah.
Young Bucks, Young Bucks being offended, affronted, move on, then somehow getting a rematch at All Out.
Potentially, yeah. Taking the
And
titles at All Out. Edge
take
has
the
his
titles
match
at All Out. Then
with MLP.
Machine Guns should be back within a couple of weeks. Then, and you can build, say, Young Bucks, Machine Guns for a while, and then eventually
Get Machine Guns versus Edge and Cope.
Cage and
Cope and
Cope,
Christian.
or Cage and Cope. Cage and Cope split off, do their own thing. I know Cope has Kenny Omega on his list.
Yeah.
If you look at what he posted, that there's a few. Let
Yeah.
them go, do their own thing. Christian can go be the smarmy I'm your father piece. Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And then they can finally circle back for I'm done at the Tokyo Dome in January.
So
without making it feel like a little bit WWE or a little bit like a 3-match series in 3 weeks or 3 months that they can't spread that one out.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? We've spoken about Collision Dynamite in Glasgow. There's nothing listed match wise. There's nothing.
Well, there is. We've got the 2 semi-finals for.
We do, yeah. We've got the 2 We've got the John Moxley tournament semi-finals coming up on Wednesday.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing for that one. I don't know about no release about no compete, not no compete, contract extent, contract 90-day terminations or whatever. If Nigel McGuinness is still in the boot,
he won his last match.
He won his last match, but he's injured. Do you have the situation where it's drawn to be McGuinness versus Castagnoli?
Yeah.
And you have a situation where McGuinness can't compete.
Okay.
So he brings out his replacements. And I have 2 names sort of in mind for it.
Okay, hit me.
Number 1, Ilya Dragunov.
You know what? I would be happy with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Who's been moved to Alum. Or number 2, someone who knows Claudio Castagnoli very well, was a former champion with him. And I think this is a bit of a longer shot. Stephen Farley.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a longer shot realistically.
Yeah,
but
from what I know, his contract doesn't end till 1st of October. From what I've heard, anyway. Now that could be mutually terminated between the two of them. We wouldn't know about that. But if he comes out for Collision and Dynamite on Wednesday,
that's what I'm thinking. Given where it is, the location, all that sort of stuff. And again, this is if they have to pivot, because we know it's probably going to be Moxley. The plan is probably Moxley versus McGuinness.
That was probably the
plan. But if McGuinness is hurt, if McGuinness isn't able to do it, I know he's wrestled in a boot, or not wrestled in a boot. I know he's been in a boot before he has to wrestle.
Yeah. And I mean, the hometown hero winning the Continental.
It's very AEW.
Challenge Cup, yeah. If you're gonna have Ospreay, and we'll talk about the Brawling Birds, probably gonna win the women's tag titles as well. It's probably gonna give all the hometown heroes their wins, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not against it, because they did it with the Bulldog, and it was a Bulldog in '92. So
yeah, but what I'd also say is there's enough heels on the card.
Yeah.
That you could quite easily, split it still.
Balance
50,
it out.
You could still have a 50-50 face heel. You don't have to have every match the fans go happy, and that would be, in my mind, stupid anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if
I'm looking at the card here, if we want to run down the card.
So we'll run it from the top, right? From first to last. So I've got the AEW World Trios title match, which has just been added, actually. Hangman Adam Page and Brodito versus God knows who. Now I have a theory about this.
Go on, I'll hear it, because I also have a theory.
So the World Trios match is normally on 0 hour before All In actually starts. I have a feeling they're going to drop New Day into this Trios title match. I have a feeling they're going to come out to a massive pop. It's probably one of the worst kept secrets in wrestling at the moment that All In's approaching. People are expecting surprises with all of the releases. Bailey's another one of them, who's potentially, you know, tipped to show up. She's been
But
Instagramming.
she's been seen on house shows, so that would it depends again. It depends when the contract's up.
Yeah, and I just because she's been posting a lot of stuff with Mercedes Monet. We know they're close. We know they're close friends.
Yep.
Maybe she will be at All In as a fan, as a, you know, as just an
Seen in the
attendee.
audience, seen in the crowd or something.
Yeah, do you know what I
maybe.
mean? Which is probably something she would do because she wants to go support her friends. Nothing against that. But I think New Day are going to be dropped into this trios title match to hype the crowd up, because obviously at the first match you want to set the tone. I know Brodito are more than capable of doing that. I know Adam Page is more than capable of doing that. But if you want to start the fireworks off early and you drop Kofi and Xavier in there, that crowd's gonna go nuts at the start.
Well, that was my theory as well, because if you watched Dynamite this week,
yeah,
where they had the call out, so you had the demand with Ricochet coming out. You had the dogs coming out demanding the titles. I don't think they ever lost.
I like the dogs. Excuse me.
They're a team I'd like to get behind. They are suffering a little bit from the AEW problem of lack of direction.
Yeah.
They're sort of caught in a vortex of fighting with Bang Bang Gang. Are they with Death Riders? Are they not with Death Riders?
Yeah, they're kind of caught in limbo, especially with Jay White being injured again and out for long term.
Is he out long term again? Yeah,
I think he's out long term again. Yeah, I think Jay White's come back, and fans were all buying into, yes, if Jay, you know, Switchblade is back, there's a lot of potential for some storylines here, and then he gets injured again. Now I think he's out for the foreseeable, unfortunately. But that hurt because I have a feeling there was the Bang Bang Gang, Jay White, and you know, there could have been a program there with the dogs. For Jay White and the Bang Bang Gang, which I would have loved.
Although they've already done it. Bring in Jay White, maybe you could do something a little bit different, but so
I think this match is going to slap anyway. I love trios matches because tag team wrestling is in such short supply in wrestling at the moment. I mean, WWE just doesn't give a shit about tag team wrestling.
Look at the trios champions here. They're thrown together a team because Hangman came back a little bit sooner than expected. They need to get him on the card. You have former tag team champions tagging in there.
Yeah, but they are amazing together. They weren't meant to click at all, but for some reason,
it just works.
Fans just flock to them.
They're all likable. It helps. It helps that they all seem to be on the right side of, let's say, political choices for AEW fans to begin with.
Yeah.
Fine, we're leaving out, questionable taste in friends, so I don't want to get into that one. But Brody King coming out with his Fuck Ice t-shirts. Jonathan, sorry for the editing problems. Brody King coming out with that. Hangman Page with his, and to be fair, when he's not burning down people's houses or sticking needles into people, when he's not completely off the walls, he has a good message. The whole anxious millennial cowboy. Yes, I'm going to terror. The whole. Look at me. I'm this pro. I'm this pro wrestler who.
Although I will admit that image of Hangman burning down Swerve's house.
Oh yeah, Jesus,
will forever be burned in my brain as one of the most iconic images of a storyline. Like I absolutely loved that storyline. Yeah. Apart from the needle in the jaw, but anyway.
But it was pointless. It wasn't needed. Again, so sometimes AEW doesn't know when to say when.
Yeah, I mean, you have a show that's literally called Blood and Guts. Save it for then or a pay-per-view, and you really need to break it out. It doesn't have to be in everything, Tony Khan. If you're listening, you don't need blood and guts in every single fucking match.
Call it back. Yeah. Also, John Moxley, you do not need to bleed every 5 seconds.
No, in fairness,
he has cut it back.
He has cut it back massively.
Yep.
And I love the current version of John Moxley because I'm watching the wrestling version of John Moxley. The Blood and Guts version was fine in 2024. Could be because it was quite new, you know, but now he's gone back to his wrestling, and I'm very happy with that.
What's interesting is when you read his book, I don't know if you've read
I've not read it yet, no.
I've listened to it, actually. Get the audiobook. It's far better. Listening to him tell the stories, it's far better than anything you could imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But one of the things he said when he was learning was he wanted to be a William Regal, Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle. He wanted to be that technical wrestler.
Yeah.
And then actually I was reading it at the time when he was in his, I'll call it Deathmatch King, look at me and I'll bleed phase.
Yeah.
He wasn't that. And I was just watching, listening to him talk about how he wanted to be, this Bret Hart-esque technician.
Yeah.
And then looking at him on a Wednesday going, yes, hit me with, 6 skewers in my head. It just didn't.
The cheese graters and everything, yeah.
It just didn't match up.
No.
But now, absolutely. And I think this whole to be announced, this multi-trios match, I think it's going to be, and I think they are looking for the WrestleMania pop where they brought back the Hardys. I think they're going for that you're going to have the demands come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, because it was an open challenge, you're going to have Ricochet and the demands come out.
But who's gonna be the third wheel in that New Day?
Wait for it. You're going to have the Dogs. Because they were the two that were in the ring demanding the match.
Yeah.
Hangman called out.
Demand.
Hangman called out and said, anybody who wants it will be at Wembley.
Yeah.
Q Swerve Strickland, who came on the screen on Wednesday. I don't know if you saw it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
He came on the screen on Wednesday and goes, so you've issued this challenge. Be careful what you wish for.
Swerving the news. I'm like,
And Swerve had to run in with Ricochet 2 weeks ago. So if you ask me to put my money, if the New Day are coming in, or Daybreak or whatever they're calling themselves now, throw Swerve in there as well.
That's perfect. If that happens, I don't care if it's been spoiled for me. I'm gonna pop anyway.
And and I guarantee you will have the moment where you have the Swerve and the Hangman stare down. Guarantee.
Yeah.
Everyone will be out of the ring and they'll back into each other and turn around. They'll have some sort of moment. We have that Swerve down, and then they'll move apart again because it's still too early to go back to that well with them.
Yeah, it's still, everybody knows the history there. It is too early to go back to that. It's still too soon.
And then if you're going to ask me, I'm going to put it on the Dogs as the champions.
Oh,
I'm going to put it on the Dogs. I'm going to put it on either the Dogs or the demands. And I don't particularly want to put it on the demands.
No, the Dogs would be good.
I think we lost the Dogs' first trios run because was it Finley or Finley got injured?
Yeah.
I can't remember which one. One of them got injured, so they had to pivot away from them very quickly after they won the trios. So I think
this could be a good second run to really see how they could do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So sorry, go on.
Yeah, if you ask me, it'll go on the Dogs, and then that opens up quite a few new places to go.
Yeah, I mean, so the first match we'll talk about there is Adam Page and Brodito versus the Dogs versus the Demand versus Swerve and Brand New Day or Daybreak or
whatever they call them. Yeah,
whatever they call themselves coming in.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they rocked up in Glasgow.
You know what? I wouldn't.
It wouldn't surprise me. I'd be
against it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd be against it. I know Ryan would love it as, the 10-year-old who's grown up on the New Day.
He's grown up on New Day, yeah.
But I do think, the pop they would get in Wembley coming out would be a key, or they're chasing the pop that the Hardys got that year at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and if you have them come out of Wembley, if you're chasing that massive pop, you're going to get it, but do not have them in Glasgow. You're basically...
Or if you're doing it in Glasgow, close the show with them. Close the show with them.
Or just tease it a little more.
Have all those three teams, do it, take each other out, and then just at the end of it, whose house, Swerve's house, he walks out, and then just the two of them come out behind them. Just
if I
have him there and just have the two of them behind.
Yeah, if I was Swerve, I would maybe close the show or just kind of close it out with All In is going to be a new dawn.
Something like that.
What's the phrase that follows new dawn? It's a new day.
Yeah,
I'd be like that. I mean, it wouldn't be obvious, but it'd be something like that would just tease them to the point where people are like, "Oh my fucking god, they got to show up, and then boom, he dropped that bomb in the opener." But
yes, it is, Jonathan. Yes, it is. Because if they are coming in, I want something different. I don't want unicorns, trombones, and all that sort of stuff.
I know, because WWE are still selling all that stuff, so they can't. So you're all right.
Not even that. I want to see something different. That show me why WWE made a mistake with you. Show me why WWE made a mistake.
Do you know what? I don't think they did. I think the New Day will go down as one of the greatest tag teams in WWE history. They did everything they needed to do, and it's in a similar sense to to other people who have recently left, or the likes of Bailey, where when I look at Bailey, I'm like, what more can you do in this company? There's nothing. Well, go earn your millions in AEW and face people you've never faced before.
All I'm going to say is, they need WWE's tag team needs strong tag teams. There's not,
but they don't care. They don't want that to do it anymore.
They're starting to get there now with the MFTs. With if they actually put a bit of work into the Viking Raiders or actually put a bit of attention on them. But again, they'll ship them out to AAA and let them play around down there.
Exactly. Give them to the Undertaker. Give them to Mark Calloway.
Fine. You have the two Japanese lads.
Yeah.
But over on Raw, I couldn't even remember who. I had to ask Ryan who the tag team champions were.
Yeah. So, I mean, even on SmackDown, you had Damian Priest and R-Truth losing to the MFTs again. Bringing Haku in was good, but he needs to be the voice of them more.
Yeah.
He needs to. You need to give him the.
Which is interesting, given Haku was never known for his voice.
No. This is where
the fact that you're bringing in Haku to be a voice says a lot about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, not talking about WWE. Let's move on.
We're gonna go to the international match. Yes, Kyle Fletcher, Kazuchika Okada, and Konosuke Takeshita. This match speaks for itself. I don't even need to say much about this match.
I don't know who's gonna win it. But again, this is part of the Takeshita Okada feud. You're bringing in Fletcher, who's now also part of this. So it's again part of the, it's the whole Don Callis family infighting thing. As I would say, if we're talking about success stories, Kyle Fletcher is, for me, the success story of the last 2 years of AEW. Watching him go from tag team specialist with Mark Davis, a very good tag team specialist. And again, Johnson and Dave, you've been to, the indie shows where Aussie Open have been there, been over. But you would have for me anyway, I would have had Mark Davis as the breakout. Now, injuries came at the right time for Fletcher. And indeed for Davis. Like, you look at Davis, he's doing some of the best work of his career solo as well now. But definitely, Kyle Fletcher over the last 2 years for me has been the MVP, the unsung hero of AEW. Always puts on good matches, has superb series of matches.
I agree. I think you'd have Kyle Fletcher retain here. I would kind of put him in the realm of Kyle Fletcher's going to be outside of this. Let Okada and Takeshita beat the shit out of each other and do the typical heel thing of taking advantage of someone else's finisher. Okada hits, the Rainmaker. Have Fletcher push him out of ring.
And that also speeds up the dissension within the Don Callis family. So when Fletcher does break out on his own. However, what I would also say is I can see Okada playing that role for much of the match and letting Fletcher and Takeshita put on a really good match. In the same way as I've said, Fletcher is sort of the MVP, the unsung hero. I would also say Okada has been, for me, the biggest disappointment of AEW.
I find Okada, the problem with Okada is he works his arse off in New Japan, and when it comes to AEW, he half-asses it.
I get the impression, and he feels like he's there for a paycheck, but he's friends with the right people in there.
He's one of the biggest names of that partnership.
I was so excited for him to come in. Really happy that he was coming in. And he's just disappointed me, and I know I'm not alone in that one.
No, you're not at all. I would say most of the AEW fan base will tell you what a disappointment he's been. But it pisses me off even more when I watch his New Japan matches very, very recently
Yeah.
over the last couple of months, and they've been 100 million times better than stuff he's done in AEW. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
why can't you just do the fucking same and put the same amount of fucking work in? But he probably
Even-
has more pride
even-
in where he comes from and his
Even
Japanese.
pay-per-view
And
matches, though, even his pay-per-view matches have been underwhelming. Fine, I get that. You may not be able to do everything. He's a little bit older. He may not be able to do 100% on random Wednesday night in Sheboygan, Idaho, or whatever you call it. Wherever it is.
Nice Home Alone reference, by the way.
Jonathan, you are going to get a lot of abuse for that comment. I can guarantee you that one.
Wonderful Home Alone reference, though. I do love the Sheboygan reference.
Thank
Love
you. But the fact he's phoning it in on the pay-per-views pisses me off.
Yeah.
Or it feels like maybe he's not phoning it in, and maybe that just is the level he's able to go at these days, but I don't think so.
No, I think he could do a lot more in AEW. And if you want my predictions for this match, I'll finish off by saying Kyle Fletcher to retain with your typical heel shenanigans near the end. I think Okada will come close, but I think Fletcher will take it.
Okay, if you're going to do that, I'll be contrarian and say it's going to finish the exact same way. It's going to be the typical heel shenanigans, finisher, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to have Okada. And that will facilitate a couple of things. Number one, it means that we get another Takeshita Okada match.
Okay.
For the belt. And number two, it speeds up it works on the dissension with Kyle Fletcher and Kazuchika Okada.
Okay.
Within the Don Callis family piece, which leads us into the next one, which is Kevin Knight versus Darby Allin, which it's lacking something as a build-up, but I have Kevin Knight to retain, and then Fletcher to go after Kevin Knight for the TNT Championship.
Oh,
that you free up Fletcher from the International Championship. Fletcher then in his new cocky, and I'm liking his new cocky, I'm that guy persona.
Yeah, 100%.
Starts getting in because he's already gotten Fletcher's face a couple of times after Fletcher has lost, multi-mans or whatever, saying, well, I won, I'm better, blah, blah, blah. And then you have Kevin Knight and Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah, I'm predicting Darby Allin to take a bump off the Wembley Arch, if I'm honest. I mean,
I don't know what look.
It's false count anywhere. It's Darby Allin.
Chaos. It's going to be absolute chaos.
There's going to be a spot in this match that's going to shock.
Yeah.
This is where they're going to drop the this is where they're going to blur the lines of. They're going to have Darby Allin do something, or Darby Allin's going to come up with something himself. Most of the stuff he does is executed so cleverly. I remember the bump he took on the steps, which was back onto the actual steps, and it was so clever because I knew like he's taking that bump to absolute perfection. If you slow it down, you notice his back doesn't even touch the steps. It's done the way this guy takes bumps. People go, oh, this guy's not going to last 10 years in the business. If you slow it down and look how he takes bumps in the ring and outside the ring and all the stupid shit he does, he executes it to a point where he's not barely feeling that, but he's not taking as much damage as people think. I think this guy knows his limits.
He's very clever.
And he's very clever about it. He's making people think that he's breaking himself for a living.
Frankly, I think the worst injury he got was being clipped by a bus in New York.
And he wasn't even, he was skateboarding in New York, got hit by a bus. He wasn't even wrestling.
I mean, I think that was. I think that's the worst injury.
He's ever had.
He's probably picked up.
He's clever. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. And as much as people say, stop doing all the stupid shit, you're trying to kill yourself. It's like, no, he knows what he's doing. People don't give him credit for the intelligence of his ability in the ring.
I think some of the stuff he's done recently, the stuff with Kevin Knight with the explosions and all that, he needs to tone that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Again, I've spoken about this. I like willingly suspending disbelief, but give me a reason to.
Yeah.
If I'm watching on the top of a cage, a claymore go off in your face, and that's fine. Do that. That's fine. But sell it for 2 or 3 weeks. It was the same.
Yeah, write him off. Write him off television for 3 weeks.
It was the same when Austin flipped Triple H in the car, and 2 weeks later he's back.
Yeah, and the Vince McMahon death scene where he blows up in the car and he's back. You're like, you're supposed to be dead, bro. Like,
give me a reason to believe that this stuff is serious. I would expect to see Darby Allin in Glasgow. I would hope to see him bandaged after the pyro malfunction.
Yeah.
this week on AW, and I would expect to see him getting beaten down by probably Lance Archer and Brian Cage, because let's face it, they've nothing else to do.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
the new look of
maybe he'll fight Davis, or maybe he'll fight Davis, or maybe Jake Doyle will be back. I don't know, but maybe he'll get something with that.
I don't know how I feel about the current iteration of Brian Cage. It's weird. He's too much hair. I don't know. I don't know how I don't know how I feel about the new Brian Cage with the shorts up to like his thighs and stuff. I'm like,
I've liked him ever since I saw him in Lucha Underground. I have been a fan of him. I want to see him go to the next level.
Yeah, I'd like to see that as well, and I'd also like to see them fire Eddie Kingston, because the guy is so unfit. I can't believe they're putting him on television.
Yeah, he hasn't been the same since he broke his leg.
No, he's overweight. He's unfit.
The problem is he's going down the Sami Callihan route a little bit, Eddie Kingston. When Sami Callihan broke his leg, he was never the same. He was slower in the ring. He blew up a lot quicker. He's going down that route, and and he hasn't changed his character. Again, change your character if you can't not do your stuff. If you can't keep up with that, make it a character change.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, going on to the AEW Women's World Tag Team Title match.
Speaking of changes in character with Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, I'm gonna be short with this one, because I'm gonna go for the classic face hometown hero win here.
Yeah.
I think Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter, the Brawling Birds, are going to take the tag titles. I think it's silly not to give.
You're going to have this because you're going to have the moments at the end of the show, Alex Windsor and Will Ospreay having a kiss at the top of the ramp.
Yeah, both champions, both holding belts.
Yeah,
you know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I think so. Big fan of Divine Dominion, whatever the hell they're called. Big fan of them. Really good ring. Really good ring work for what they do.
Yeah. Megan Bain's especially impressive. I do love.
And that's the thing. Megan Bain should, to my mind, be used. And I think this is a problem with wrestling in general at the moment. When you have someone like Megan Bain, when you have someone like The Big Show, or we've spoken about Malachi Black before.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, when there wasn't this almost saturation of wrestling, where they could, they go off TV for 6 months, come back, and again they're a big deal. Nowadays, if you go off TV for 6 months, you're forgotten about. Why is Tony Khan wasting this person? They're being all that sort of stuff. And I would say, if they do it right with Megan Bain, if they do that she, drops off after this, comes back in a couple of months and goes for the TBS title, which I don't see on the card here. That's probably going to be an undercard match, or
I have a feeling it's going to be a Wednesday night title
possibly
match. I have a feeling it's going to be maybe a collision match.
That that she comes back, takes the TBS title, has another lengthy run with it. Maybe not to the length Jade Cargill's was, but another lengthy run. Loses it, drops off for a couple of months, comes back and goes for the world title. That way you keep her feeling fresh. Yeah. She doesn't have to eat pin after pin, because as soon as someone like Megan Bain, with that whole megasis, bigger than everybody, stronger than everybody, as soon as they lose once, that aura is broken. You don't believe them anymore. So if they go off and come back and off and come back, they feel like a bigger deal, and beating them feels like a bigger deal.
Yeah.
It's kind of unfortunate, the situation where Big Show and Kane got too late in their careers. Where beating the Big Show and beating the Kane didn't mean as much as it did when, towards the start of their career, when they hadn't been pinned, when it took so much to pin them.
Yeah. Agreed. I think that's going to be it. Brawling Birds are going to win. I think Megan Bain will take a break, and maybe Divine Dominion will split. But the AEW World Title #1 contendership Casino Gauntlet match, Jesus Christ, what a fucking mouthful. This one was sewn up for me until MJF came back. I was all Andrade 110%, and I would have been delighted if he had won it. Then MJF came out, and now I'm thinking it's just sewn up for MJF to get that belt back.
But my thing with that is, again, You have the two of them, Andrade and MJF. Either of them
Yep.
would be fine as chasers.
Yeah.
Again, who could the surprise be? Who could the sneaky bastard be that comes in like Christian did a couple of years
Yeah,
ago?
do you remember Christian winning the gauntlet match? Yeah.
Because if I was a betting man, number one, MJF is still carrying that that near that hamstring. He isn't moving as well.
Yeah.
If you look at him, he's not moving that well. So this multi-man match absolutely protects him. Whoever wins it, I'm gonna say the opposite of whatever one you say. But I then think that you're going to all out. Yeah, all out. You're going to all out and you're having Andrade versus MJF one way or another. Whoever loses that one is hitting their finisher and getting thrown out of the ring.
Yeah, my heart says Andrade, but my head says MJF for this.
Okay,
one.
so I'll go Andrade, but I can see Andrade hitting his finisher, getting thrown out of the ring by MJF, and MJF stealing.
And then MJF, stealing it.
And
I don't know who the surprises will be, because last year we had Ricochet.
Yeah, and then that builds into All Out.
Yeah,
with Andrade pissed off that he was So one way or another, you're getting Andrade and MJF. For me, this gauntlet match, number one, it's to give a semi-credible, maybe Ciampa. Wouldn't surprise me if they put Ciampa in there. He's done his penance with Jericho, so wouldn't surprise me if they stuck him in there. That was his payback for dealing with Jericho.
True. Good point.
Given that they're the only three that have been announced so far.
Mm-hmm. Now there was rumors going.
Here's your surprise for the gauntlet.
There was rumors going around. There was rumors going around that obviously Sheamus is going to turn up at AEW All In, which he probably fucking won't. We know he won't. He's doing other things.
Yeah,
and I can't see him ever going to AEW purely because of how committed he was and is to WWE.
I don't.
Regardless of how much they screwed him, because I still think he deserved an Intercontinental title for that Grand Slam. But I don't know if he's miffed by that enough to go to the other side. But the pop would be fucking unbelievable.
That's why I think if they're doing it, you put him in the Continental Challenge Cup.
Yeah, they did it with Ricochet 2 years ago when we were there.
They did it with McGuinness. They brought him over. Don't forget Nigel McGuinness came back in that one. Nigel McGuinness
came back in that one. So if they're gonna do it, you do it there because you have the pop at the start with the New Day, then you go halfway through the card, you get the pop with the
Braun Birds
or whatever comes out.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to see that pop. There was talk of Kairi Sane showing up at All In as well.
Where?
Exactly. There's so much rumors, so many rumors going around. There's talk of whoever wins this world title match, at the very end of it, out comes Kairi Sane.
Equally, you could do outcomes Bailey, or Bailey gets involved in the women's world title match.
Do you know what I mean? And that could set up a fucking absolute nuclear explosion as far as fans are concerned. They'll go absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
To have them two on the card, Jesus Christ. Imagine having them at your disposal.
I think you will get a Mercedes Moné versus whatever Bailey goes by in AEW, because WWE is Bailey locked up. Davina Rose, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So Mercedes Moné versus Davina Rose. Yep.
I mean, that's money, That's,
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Let's go to the Jon Moxley tournament, Jon Moxley Challenge Cup final. Because let's face it. Yeah, let's face it. This was a case of one of the last few members of the roster who has creative control. I know hardly any of them do anymore. But I think Moxley's one of the final unicorns that's sitting in that dressing room with a bastion of creative control. He's gone. I've got nothing for All In, so I'm going to fucking create something for All In for me.
I also think this is a great vehicle to split Moxley from the Death Riders, because at the moment, regardless of what you think about the Death Riders, they're heels, Moxley is face.
Yeah.
It's not working.
No.
That's this way you can very, very easily have Castagnoli or Garcia, Yuta, whoever it is, take over Marina Shafir, for God's sake. Someone takes it,
Yeah.
that.
Could we have Castagnoli and Mox in the final?
Yeah. And that's what
Yeah.
that's what I think.
Or Pac because of the English connection against? I don't know.
No, Pac's not in the final. So we're at nearly at the semi-final. There's 2 quarterfinals tonight. So you've got Castagnoli versus either, given that Eddie Kingston's injured now,
Yeah.
Daniel Garcia or Adam Priest. So it's going to be Garcia. So you've got Castagnoli v Garcia and Orange Cassidy v Kyle O'Reilly. So
okay
my suspicion, and again, I don't know how good, bad this is. What if Adam Cole was cleared?
Oh, that's a hot. That's a long shot. Now, he was rumored to come back in a managerial capacity. There was rumors of him coming back.
So
in a non-wrestling role.
Where I'm going with this, we've already had Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly in this tournament.
Yep.
Now
so you could have Undisputed come back.
That's what I'm thinking. My problem is that was so badly done.
Yeah.
In AEW the last time. Is there an appetite to see it again? Now,
I think there is. I think there's more chance of them doing it right this time.
And a lot of that was due to injury and everything going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But what if, we know Roderick Strong has never been huge on the conglomeration. He's there because his best buddy Kyle's there.
I hate the name.
What, Kyle?
It doesn't work for me. Conglomeration.
Yeah, that too. So then you
Damn it, Kyle. Sorry, I had to do it.
So you have Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong. If you have to bring back Bobby Fish, bring back Bobby Fish. I don't particularly want it. But you're now in a situation where you have, I think Orange Cassidy will go over Kyle O'Reilly tonight. Yeah. And obviously Castagnoli's going to win the other one.
Yeah.
So you've then got the final 4 of Nigel McGuinness, John Moxley, Castagnoli, and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have Juice fucking roll over on.
If I'm a betting man, my semi-finals for Glasgow are Moxley versus probably Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
And Castagnoli versus McGuinness.
Okay.
That's
if McGuinness is genuinely injured?
If McGuinness is genuinely injured.
They're hardly going to throw Grado in there, are they, as a squash match?
He's in London. He's in London. We're safe. So if McGuinness is genuinely injured, you speed up the Death Riders split by doing Moxley v Castagnoli.
Yeah,
to my mind,
that's going to work.
Unless you have Stephen Farrelly, Sheamus coming in as the replacement for McGuinness,
which would be fucking phenomenal.
The pop for Glasgow, because you will immediately have to come down for I am not able to compete, blah blah blah. However, I think they deserve a replacement, and Sheamus comes out. That's your big moment from Glasgow, and then you have Stephen Farrelly versus John Moxley in the final.
And I mean, if you're gonna put Sheamus against Dean Ambrose, let's face it, or John Moxley against Stephen Farrelly in the final, I think you're getting another 10K maybe in ticket sales.
Yeah.
In the run up to Sunday. Yeah. I genuinely think if you go to Glasgow
again, this is all for the record, we are not contract tampering, we are not doing anything. However,
for the record, this is all fantasy until proven real. Yeah. If Sheamus was to show up in Glasgow and was the replacement and beats Castagnoli, we get Sheamus against or Stephen Farrelly against John Moxley in Wembley. That's shifting another 10K, and I can tell you that now because people will go to see this shit.
And for me, on that one way or another, whoever's in it against Moxley wins. Moxley drops the belt here.
Yeah, 100%. That's the way I'm going with it, yeah.
One way or another, it's definitely going to be Moxley Cassidy on Wednesday, and Moxley's going to win that one.
Yeah.
In a very good technical match for two people that have not been known go for good technical wrestling.
I want to say that my head
deathmatch wrestler.
Yeah, my head says Ambrose or John Moxley v Castagnoli for the finals, what my head says, because that's
Yep.
smart way you think it's going to go. But my heart says Stephen Farley comes out,
Now,
beats Castagnoli because they have history, sets up a feud for after All In
Yep.
with Farley and Castagnoli.
Number one, you've kicked out. Number one, it gets Moxley kicked out of the Death Riders.
Yes.
Number two, it then sets up a couple of feuds. So you've Castagnoli v Moxley, you've Castagnoli v Farley.
Which is a lot of history
there.
You've
Farley v Pac, you've Farley who you've Castagnoli possibly rebuilding, bringing someone in.
Yeah.
And amid all this, you've Nigel McGuinness. We've actually forgotten the person who's actually in the tournament.
Yeah.
Who's actually in the semi-final, Nigel McGuinness, who will be at Wembley.
To find out. Yeah, we need to find. We will find it all out on Wednesday.
My concern would be if you do have Moxley, McGuinness.
Yep.
I think Moxley wins that because I don't think Nigel McGuinness is able to defend as a Continental Champion. I don't think unless he does one defense, then puts it up into the Continental Classic when that happens in 2 months' time.
True. One thing I will say.
Or hear me out. Okada v McGuinness in either All Out or Wrestle Dream
to
unify and actually start cutting down the number of belts again.
Yeah, I mean it is an intercontinental title split.
And then you go back to Smug Okada again.
Yeah,
with the two belts.
Because like the international and the continental are the intercontinental title split in two. Let's face it, that's what they are.
Yep.
And I don't think WWE has a trademark on intercontinental because otherwise the missiles wouldn't be called that, would they? So I know government trumps trademark, but still, I think AEW are not afraid to pull a swerve and gamble on something.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on this. I don't know how this final is going to go. We'll know more on Wednesday. What happens here, or we won't spoil anything. We've just been when I say on Wednesday. We've spoken about the World Tag Team title match. I think this speaks for itself. Cage and Cope to retain.
To set up a second round.
Yeah, I think. And then Willow Nightingale, I would be very, very hesitant to have Willow Nightingale drop this title because of the momentum and how over she's managed to get with the fans. I would be very wary about killing that by making.
However, we all know that this tournament's the own tournament. Everything has been built with all the failures. The fact that Mercedes Moné has gone from the belt collector to nothing.
Yeah.
That this is all built, that this is her redemption moment, that she wins here.
Yeah.
However, what is to stop her winning in a week's time in Chicago? That again, some sort of screwy interference, or as we said, Davina Rose, Kairi Sane, somebody from her past.
Yeah.
Coming out, getting involved. And we're seeing a different side of Willow as well. Don't forget, we are seeing a different side of Willow. I know Monet is playing the heel role at the moment.
Yeah.
We are starting to see, I'm not going to say a darker side of Willow, because we have seen, a side of Willow that's starting to believe in herself, starting to be that little bit cockier, starting to be...
Yeah, there's a grittiness there.
On my level. There's a bit more grit.
And I'm liking that. What
is to stop Willow winning this one? That would be Willow 2-1 up, if I miss my guess.
Yep.
And lording it over, like wrestling loves the best of 5 series.
Yeah, true.
A best of 5 series works in this one because it's been so long since their last number of matches.
Yeah, true.
Again, we might know a little bit more when we see what goes on Wednesday. Whatever the play is.
Yep.
But this feud has definitely, for me, been one of the hotter ones after Andrade and MJF. This has been one of the hotter ones. And to be fair, Kyle Fletcher, again, going back to Kyle Fletcher, that they've been sort of hot ones. And then Willow and Mercedes, where they've referenced that Willow was smiling after Mercedes broke her leg. Of course you're smiling. And Willow's going, of course I'm smiling. I want a fucking belt. Yeah, why wouldn't I be
Exactly.
smiling? Yes, fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you got hurt, but
But hey,
I
I
won
want a
my
belt.
first. Yeah, I won a belt. Of
Yeah,
course I can.
so but look, going into the main event, the overrun this past like last week
Finally.
was just too long.
However,
36 minutes over.
it was needed.
I guess.
This feud has been crap.
Yeah, they only
This has
started to
been
ignite
based
my
on.
interest 2 weeks
This has
ago
been
when they had
based
that
on.
promo.
I like you. I like you. I want to beat you. I want to beat you.
Yeah.
I had no reason to shout for one or the other. They needed this. Kenny Omega, you can't get the job done. The only reason you beat me last time was Don Callis, yada, yada, yada.
The cleaners come back and it needed to be done.
It needed to be done. And it needs to be that arrogant Kenny Omega. And it was never going to work. They had to go this way because Will Ospreay is never getting booed.
Not in Wembley. Fuck no.
Not in Wembley. And they spent too long building up Will Ospreay.
Yep.
As the face, having him come back.
They've spent a
having
year.
Having him come back from injury.
Yeah.
Having him break down, which was brilliantly done, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
Have the matches stopped. He came back too early. And then having the Death Riders build him up was, again, perfection. Mm-hmm. Whatever you think about the Death Riders storyline, the fact that, Will Ospreay had to turn and go, you are the only faction or the only group of people that can make me better.
Yeah.
Build him up to the extent that he's going, I'm not worried about my neck anymore. However, I'm still me. I'm not going to join in with the, again, stupid plastic bags over the heads. Yeah. And again, know when to say no.
Yeah. And then Kenny Omega coming in as this heel. Yeah, look, we've had it with the tag team title match being we respect you, we like you, we have all the respect in the world, we're two generational tag teams, we get it. It works for them, did not work for Kenny and Will. Pulling the trigger when they had that promo 2 weeks ago and Kenny turned and gave him the
you're not on my
one-winged angel,
yeah,
and gave him the one-winged angel at the end. I was like, yes, finally. Okay, now we're off the races. Now I'm invested. I wasn't invested before. I'm fucking invested now. And
this
then
is it. Last week, it went too long, but again, it was that nitro boost that it needed.
Yeah,
because it was missing. This is your biggest event. There was no interest in the main event. I was more interested in what was happening in the gauntlet match.
Yeah, I was ready for MJF versus Will Ospreay. Truth be told, that was the original plan before the injury, which I was like, "Ooh yeah, that's going to be a main event and a half." MJF against Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay beating MJF, getting the better of him in London. We all know how well of a heel MJF can come in. We've seen what he's done with the international title, making it the American title.
But the problem is, that was the problem. They did it 2 years ago.
Yeah. At a mid-card level, though, to be fair.
Yeah, but you can't keep going back to, it's London will run MJF v Ospreay.
Fair.
And again, I would almost rather that they keep MJF and Ospreay away for just a little bit. Maybe Revolution, maybe keep it till November.
Yeah.
And have them sort of peripherally, bounce past each other. MJF keep referencing that I got screwed, whatever he wants to do. MJF just keep referencing that, keep goading Will rather than.
Yeah, looking at this main event, Kieran, I'm gonna go with the Ospreay winning. The fairy tale that they wanted to do is gonna happen.
Has to
be.
And
we're gonna have a similar ending to Bryan Danielson winning when we have the fireworks, the
fireworks,
and all that stuff. And
Alex and probably Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, all the British, even McGuinness might come out. And I think it'll be just that sending the fans home happy at the end of the night.
Yeah.
I think that's the aim of the game here with the main event. I'm okay with it. I'm ready for it. I think it's well deserved.
I also think it's going to be a fantastic. I also think if both of them bring what they're talking about bringing, it is going to be an amazing match.
If they do it stiff, unless it is flippy shit, then it could be.
Ryan's in school. We're at Bon Jovi on Sunday. I'm going to have to work out a time. Because otherwise, I'm going to end up watching it in work, and I'm going to have a very pissed off nephew because I watch it with him. Because he has already said he wants to watch this.
He's gonna
and he
want
wants to
to
watch it on
because
the
it
big
is the
screen.
biggest. It's AEW's WrestleMania, and say what you want about Tony Khan. He
On
comes out after
pay-per-views, they
every
deliver.
show.
On pay-per-view,
Yeah,
AEW delivers.
before every show, Collision, Dynamite, and everything else in between.
Yep.
Tony Khan comes out before and after every single show to thank the fans.
Yep.
And he means it. And he comes out. You did it in Glasgow last year when me and Laura
He
went.
did. He did
came
when we
out
went to the
before.
collision. He did when we did his
Yep.
collision taping in Vegas as well. Yeah.
Yep. You know, and he comes out and he thanks in Mexico as well. I think he was fucking nearly in tears at that point because that Grand Slam Mexico show, I haven't seen something that hot since I'm gonna say Punk and MJF's
The dog collar.
promos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything a show like that in a long time. The crowd was immense. The matches were electric because the energy in that place was off the charts. I hope Tony Khan comes to Ireland. Just to round off this pod, I hope Tony
AEW
Khan,
comes. Yeah.
I hope they do. I hope AEW puts a show into Ireland, 3 Arena, Dynamite Collision taping. If they do a pay-per-view in London, or if they do like they did Forbidden Door in the O2, even having an AEW pay-per-view in the 3 Arena is not out of the realm of possibility.
Depends on the contracts they have. It depends on the WWE contracts. I know the whole point is in America. I don't know if it's legal over here, given that America is the Wild West in general when it comes to legality. I know part of the reason that they can't run certain areas is WWE's contract says you can't run 6 months before, 6 months after we do. So they book dates, and that's basically AEW locked out for a year.
Which I hope that's not the case, because it stops wrestling coming to Ireland. I mean, it would stop TNA coming here. It would stop AEW coming here, and that's, you could argue, the monopoly problem there.
Yeah, and I do think under EU law or whatever it is, they'll be told very quickly where to go on that one.
Yep.
But yeah, speaking of Grand Slam Mexico, what about the wild card for Casino Gauntlet, Mystico?
Yeah, I was quite impressed.
It wouldn't
think that could
surprise me.
be a
Like
shout.
he's had feuds at MJF, he's had feuds at Andrade. Yo,
wasn't he in WWE as Sin Cara? Yeah. That's a fucking redemption story, right? You want to talk about long-term storytelling?
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
that was Triple H's first biggest blunder of his career.
I don't think he helped
put everything behind him.
He didn't help himself.
No.
Yo, I'm stopping a match because I sprained my finger.
Yeah, that's just not on. Put it back in. Yeah, I think going forward, I'd love to see TNA. Well, I would love to see TNA.
I'd love to see TNA back over. Yeah, I've been to TNA once over here. I haven't been to many TNA shows, but I would like to see TNA come over.
AEW, I would love to see them run a Dynamite Collision in the 3 Arena. Even the National Stadium.
Probably a better option for them.
They'll sell. It's a guaranteed sellout. It's tight, but from a TV production point of view, I don't think it's going to work. I would love to see the 3 Arena, right? I mean, let's face it, Dublin needs another fucking venue. It can't just be the 3 Arena all the time. It's fucking annoying. All in. If he put All in the Aviva, I'm telling you right now.
Do you know what the biggest miss for me is being with venues in Dublin? City West.
Yeah.
I've been to boxing there. I've been to shows there. That is a perfect made arena, and that for wrestling would be perfect.
Yeah, that's true.
Not available. So again, for reasons
City West Hotel is
I'm not getting into on this. Yeah, I'm not getting into.
It's no longer a venue.
Podcast.
It's no longer a choice. It's no longer there. So we'll leave it at that. But ultimately, to close out this pod here on AEW is in a good place right now.
Yep.
All In is shaping up to be a cracking show. It always is a great weekend. I can't wait. Dynamite Collision in Glasgow. I love having a week where you can just dive in, not just on the weekend, but you start on a Wednesday and it goes till Monday. You can
start to build up. First time I remember that happening was I was over in California for WrestleMania 31.
Mm-hmm.
one of the better WrestleManias of recent times.
Yeah.
But definitely like that started. We flew in on the Friday.
Yeah.
We flew in Thursday or Friday. There was a show the Friday night. There was shows Saturday. I think it was the beginning of what has become the WrestleMania week, with the GCW collective,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. And then the last time I went over to Double or Nothing, again, the same thing, the midnight show, the midnight wrestling show, then the 3 shows on the Saturday. That whole
Yeah.
thing, I mean, it does a couple of things. Number one, obviously, it gets fans in. It gives fans the chance to get hyped up for it. You had some, you can have some crossover. Somebody come in like I've seen Gangrel wrestle, for instance, before Gangrel coming in. Wrestlers like that who then showed up at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And I
But then
mean,
you also have fans are then getting exposure to wrestlers they wouldn't have seen. I saw Nick Wayne, for instance. Nick Wayne wrestled
great talent.
in Vegas the year I saw him in Vegas. I saw
And him in Grand Slam Mexico, by the way. Big shout out to Nick Wayne. He was sensational.
Yeah.
Really
and then
was.
the other one I would say that I saw on these WrestleMania, everybody wrestles, aren't like there's now the unofficial who's the Iron Man of that week. I think LJ Cleary was up there this year. Mike Bailey. Another one who came up as a result of that. But the big one for me, I saw Shotzi, wrestling in a warehouse in Oakland.
Yeah. I mean, it's going into All In this weekend. I think, as I said, AEW is in a good place. We could see some shocks. We could see some surprises. FTR are wrestling at the Rev Pro anniversary show, but they're not at All In, which is very strange.
Yeah.
So you have Progress run obviously by Nikki Cross and Big Damo. You've got Rev Pro who are having their anniversary, a massive anniversary show in the OVO Arena next to Wembley Stadium, and then you have AEW for All In on the Sunday. So a massive weekend ahead. I cannot wait to dive into it all. And right now I'm happy where AEW is. I'm happy with where it's going, and hopefully going forward, it can continue to just keep going up and up and up.
Yep. And again, just because it's not doing, massive numbers doesn't mean it's not failing. Again, I think everything's thrown out of proportion on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I'm aware I'm on the internet defending this, that I would look, I'd love to see AEW with a lot more fans in there, but just because WWE is doing much better if you look at numbers and ratings doesn't mean AEW is not doing well.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's and on that note, I think we will leave it there.
Yep.
Okay, so thanks very much again, Dave and Kieran, for your thoughts on all things AEW, as they've just presumably going to go for a pint now after all that wrestling they just watched. I'd say it was quite a lot of it as it is. All in, obviously, expecting to be quite a lot of wrestling as well.
They're not going for a pint after all in. If you ever try to get, obviously you've never tried to get out of Wembley. That's not happening.
Well, they are only at the tapings, in fairness. They're not actually there yet. So, that's...
they're not there yet. Okay, all right. Okay, I fucked up the timeline there a bit. Right, okay.
Good Lord, no, Jesus, no, that would be terrible. No point doing a preview when it's already happened. That would be a bit redundant, in fairness. But no, in fairness... Yeah. So, like I said, so obviously they have the kind of views on it. They watch the show on a regular basis, so they'll be a lot more knowledgeable on the product than we are. But we kind of preluded it on the conversation at the start of the podcast as well about how... And I think the overall vibe is that it's not really drawn. It's AEW is kind of struggling to draw us in, and again, we're not the core audience in that respect. We're not necessarily the people that they may be looking for. Maybe they are. We don't know. But I suppose, Aaron, if you wanted to kind of unpack it a little bit, why is it that AEW struggles to find kind of everyday fans? Why is it does it seem to be kind of still in that kind of indie kind of microcosm of wrestling?
Yeah,
fans?
It's too much flippy shit.
Is it just that? Or
I genuinely think it's just that. And this is not I'm not trying to be that fucking guy, but that's literally it. There's no other way around it. They just do too much. It doesn't look like wrestling. It's not going to get your average fan in. for the most part.
Mm.
Be that whoever. But yeah, it's I don't know. It just doesn't work, and it's not. It has its core fan base and has people that goes in and out, and that's great. And I'm sure they're fine with that, but they're not. It just looks like a gymnastics thing.
Mm.
Now, I don't want to sound mean because I'm trying to not be mean. Okay, I'm trying here.
But no, it's okay. So like, your first observation is certainly is about the style of wrestling that they use. That it's almost like it's too high octane. It's a kind of a non like it's too spot oriented. Would you say? Would that be a reasonable thing for you to
Yeah,
say?
it doesn't look. At the end of the day, wrestling's supposed to look like a fight. If it doesn't look like a fight, then it just doesn't work.
Mm.
So that's most of the issues that they have. Is that it
Mm.
never looks like a fight. Anytime fans try to bring up all matches, they always look fucking awful. Always have, always will. Um, it just looks too convoluted. It's the same thing over and over again. Another clip, and it points to the fact that there's another clip currently going viral from ECW in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's Jerry Lynn and Rob Van Dam doing a spot with a chair,
Mm-hmm.
and they have what's the name of that manager with the whistle
Which
in
man? Oh,
ECW? The fella
with
from ECW
with the
managed
whistle,
Sabu. Yeah, he
Bill
managed Sabu.
Alfonso.
Bill Alfonso. It's a spot with a chair and Bill Alfonso at the edge,
Hmm.
right? It's 30 seconds.
Oh, I remember it. I know
And
the one you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's class.
Yeah.
It's so good. And if they did it the same type of spot in AEW, it wouldn't look half as smooth, half as natural, I think
Mm.
is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
The big one that goes around once every so often with AEW is I think it's the Bucks anyway for one. It's always the Bucks. And I think is it Ospreay and Strickland, I think. And we say it's the same amount of time and there's about three times the move and three times of the actions and all.
Yeah.
And it just gets crap. It just
Mhm.
looks like a convoluted, okay, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. Oh, look, all of us are on the floor because we're all tired. Great. It's not fun. It's not a tag team match. Whereas, and that's I think the big thing that'll always get them in, and that's fine, and it works for them, and they have the core fan base, and they manage to get less and less at Wembley every year, and that's fine. Good for
Yeah.
them.
So just a kind of devil's advocate there in a sense, like you mentioned there that kind of wrestling is meant to look like a fight. Now obviously they've kind of taken interpretation of saying of going kind of very highly athletic or highly violent, and then certainly what I maybe would prescribe possibly as the extremes of that kind of wrestling spectrum, either going super indie, super high octane, or super violent, super
Yeah,
aggressive, super brawl. And clearly they're almost like kind of trying to find as many niches as possible without necessarily catering to all of them adequately. It's very much it kind of almost feels like everyone wants it. They're trying to cater to every possible taste without necessarily specializing or doing them particularly well. Now, again, that might feel like a jab at AEW, but it is an observation from my kind of like viewing of AEW. Especially I think that I watched the last All In, and I think 5 or 6 of the matches on the card had a blade job on them. And for me personally, I thought that was just like
that's
completely excessive.
that's another that's
Yeah.
another thing. They do that too,
Mm.
where it's just like everyone gets in their own and is right, lads. Half of us need to do a play job. Who wants to do it? It's the definition of quantity over quality.
Yeah, yeah.
One blade job in a match is the reason why it works for WWE because they don't do a blade job all that often.
Mm.
So when they do a blade job, it's like, ooh, that's class because you don't get to see blood all often. Whereas in AEW, I was it at one point that Mox did. Was it 2 months? Was it 2 months where he did a blade job every fucking week?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Something stupid like that. Like, come on. We know Mox is better than this,
Mm.
but it feeds into all of his worst habits. again, we're not weekly viewers of it, so we can only talk about it so much. But it's just it's crap. It's
Yeah.
fucking awful, and it has been for a while.
So
I was at the first All In. There was
yeah, so yeah, you see, you have a
17.
reference point that I don't have. You have been at an all in. You have been there for an entire show. So like, like talk us through how you enjoy how if you enjoyed that all in experience compared to what you're
I
seeing
did.
now. Has there been a
I,
decline in the product?
yes,
Okay,
it's because there's a decline in star power and they haven't replaced it.
okay, right. So
I
let's
think
delve into that then. So is that because they're not
that's
building up enough stars, or they're just buying in? What's the issue? Do you think?
I think they have the same issue with WWE. There were like too many. There were like too much in the same main eventers. And
Mm,
was it 2 years ago? Kyle Fletcher was supposed to be their next big thing, and there was talks of him going to WWE, and he decided against it, and he
yeah.
stayed with AEW. It's been 2 years. Is he more or less in the exact same spot he was in 2 years ago?
I mean, you can say that about a lot of people in WWE as well. Like, and again, this is not
That's what
what
I'm
about her in a
saying.
sense, but that seems
That's
to be an issue just generally with wrestling booking at the
that's what
moment,
I'm
where people are
saying.
kind of static. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Hmm.
There's no movement with anything.
Yeah.
It's just AEW is supposed to be the place they make new stars, but the same lads are in the main event.
Mm.
MJF is still in the main event. Will Ospreay is still in the main event. Kenny Omega is still in the main event. He's battered and broken down at this point. Why might not even see sight or sound of him for another 6 months
Mm.
to a year after this.
Yeah.
The Bucks are still in the tag team scene. Um, Edge and Christian are still thereabouts in the tag team scene, and they're kind of doing their one last hurrah for Edge before he retires in Toronto.
Yeah.
Who else? The women's division seems to have gone through more of a
There's been a more of a
cycle.
turnover in that, I'd say, but I think a lot of that
Yeah,
was possibly down to injuries, and as I said, there wasn't any real kind of defined star in the like. I think they put a lot behind Thekla, and it was like not to say I don't think she was connected. I think she was, but again, it was like I think she's kind of similar to Stephanie Vickers in a sense. Like she's clearly a very, very good wrestler and a very, very good character.
yeah,
But it's perhaps a combination of a language barrier and maybe just a little bit too much of a subtle presence on screen that maybe is not quite connected with an audience would say something as high energy as Willow Nightingale would, for example. And
yeah.
hey, listen, that's an unfair comparison. I understand that. But I think certainly from the very small sample size that I've seen, I can look at this person and go, clearly a very, very good wrestler. But clearly with AEW, they don't put enough energy in terms of presenting the wrestler as like more of a character, which is odd in a sense because like a lot of the kind of deep AEW kind of like lore in a sense is very character driven. It's Adam Cole, it's the Young Bucks,
Yeah.
it's a few people that are redacted now, but the likes of Omega and famously the Dark Order is like very character oriented and was probably one of the highlights for me of the first year or two of AEW. Um, I suppose like my kind of issue in a sense, and perhaps this kind of jumps back on what your point is. I think oversaturation is a very big issue with AEW. Like we know they have a massive roster. We know they have a kind of an issue in that sense where there's almost too many people there. And of course they kind of feel kind of obliged to kind of like just immediately hoover up talent. Um, like I think we've had this discussion with people in the indie scene that like they've done more damage because they hoover up and hold people to contracts as opposed to
Yeah.
kind of like more of a turnover of staff like WWE do. And again, WWE's
Like
approach is very cynical.
WWE, Vince was never that bad a hole of people in contracts. I don't care what anyone says.
I
He
think I
was
think there
never.
was a point where it got a little bit unnecessary, but I think that was more in the kind of recent, like say NXT era. Now that they had an actual developmental system that was in-house as opposed to say OVW, let's say.
No, but I mean in the sense
Yeah.
of the way Ray Phoenix was basically held hostage for like 6 months,
Oh,
and
yeah,
he
no,
couldn't
yeah,
leave.
no, that they didn't play
That
that sort of stuff. No.
the WWE's never done that, but they have so much of a roster as well. The fact that they don't have too many ready-made main eventers, like
Yeah.
with WWE, right? You come out of Mania, there's always one or two kind of lads that could
Mm,
go to the main event. This year will probably be Braun Breaker and Obafemi.
okay.
It'll be the next ones to push up, right?
Mm,
Again, Dave can listen to this and he can tell me if I'm wrong. there's no one in AEW that has that right now that I could see. I'm basing this entirely off of Twitter buzz.
No,
Because that's where they're
I'd
coming
agree
from.
with you in that respect, and I think the reason that is because there isn't a pathway to from
Yeah.
undercard to mid-card. Like the closest I can think of that had like some level of momentum. And again, this is the early days. Would have been the likes of like say, and again, it's not a great comparison, but the likes of like of Jack Perry and Jungle Boy and or Jungle Boy Jack Perry, I should say, and like they like. When you have a character that works, you click it and you keep going, you keep moving up the card in a sense, and naturally some people kind of always hit a ceiling, like
Yeah.
the likes of Oba and Brock, like they're kind of like or Braun even, they're almost unicorns in a certain respect because it's so hard to kind of source people like that immediately click and you immediately have them. But naturally
Oh, I know that.
yeah.
But at least if it didn't click immediately, it would eventually click because WWE would book them in a way that they could click. Because those two lads have, in the WWE bubble, right?
Yeah.
If it was Triple H or if it was Vince McMahon,
Mm.
those two lads were always going to have to be in the main event at some point because look at the fucking size of them. And their looks, right?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the AEW champions at the moment, okay? The Will Ospreay is going to be the world champion after all, unless they decide to fuck him over in his biggest show of his life.
Which is possible.
That'd be funny.
Could be a
Which is possible, right? Now, at the start, your pathway to the world title was a TNT championship run. Currently, that's Kevin Knight. Haven't a goddamn clue who that fucking man is.
Kevin Knight is he's in the tag team of Jet Speed with Mike Bailey, and essentially he kind of had a bit of a solo run while still being in the tag team with Speedball, and went to challenge MJF for the world title I think on 2 occasions. It was a bit of a filler kind of feud until MJF kind of eventually dropped the title, but it was enough to basically like say like it was one of those kind of feuds where like someone from a tag team showing how good they are, and like Kevin Knight is clearly good. He is talented. He is the sort of talent that like AEW will love because he wrestles in AEW style, and he's been in the kind of system now for a year or two as well from coming off the indies. And again, he's up at Speedball. Speedball is a phenomenal wrestler, and I think he's someone that I think could go far further than where he is now as well.
I seen him do a flip off of the in Cork off the
balcony, isn't it?
Off the balcony in Neptune. That was class. So he could do whatever the fuck he wants, really, to be honest. That was the coolest thing I'd seen live. Right. So then you have the national championship, which is Andrade. Could be in the main event, I guess. I mean, I could see that happening. He's very good. Then our Continental Championship with John Moxley, but John Moxley's been around the main event scene for too long, and he needs more time out of it before he goes back into it. Then you have Kyle Fletcher as the international champion. So, for one way, they have too many fucking titles for the men's alone. They need 3, and that's it.
But based on the amount of people they have on the roster, is that not representative? Is that not still part of the issue? Is that like you have to kind of put people into different divisions, but the divisions are not like this is certainly the way I looked at it when I was watching what AEW show was I watching recently? It was fairly big. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I will clarify momentarily. It wasn't Redemption. It wasn't Forbidden Door. It was before that. It was Double or Nothing is what I was watching. And what I found quite curious is that like Dandy, I think they had on the card. I want to get my facts right here. They had, I think, all 3 of those kind of titles on the line on that show. The issue I had was that I don't know what the actual differential between all these cards titles are. You know, what's more important than the other? Because like you could say in WWE kind of like canon, let's just say the pathway from say the European title to Intercontinental to World Heavyweight Championship is a quite logical. I don't know what's more important out of those 3 titles because they all seem to be played in kind of very different ways. Like the Continental seems to be kind of it's almost like it's down to wrestling style as opposed to significance, which I don't mind. I think there's a time and place for that because New Japan do something similar, but there's not enough of a distinction for me to make it work.
Yeah, like naturally, right? If I was the booker of AEW, I'd get rid of the national and the Continental Championships. Actually, I get rid of the national one entirely, and I made the Continental Championship a once-a-year title that you cash in, so to speak, against the world title.
Like how they're doing it this
I'd
year,
ha-
where they're doing the kind of FA Cup style.
yeah, I would make that their summer thing because I know, all right, they have. Is it the ring that MJF won like 4 years in a row?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of a way of doing it.
And they also have the Owen Hart
Um,
Cup as well as their kind of like they also have a lot of tournaments and they have a lot of cups and I know it's like that's also kind of that's a
merge
stylistic choice, you know. But yeah,
merge the Owen Hart Cup with the Continental Championship, make it one and the same. You win one, you win the other.
mm,
Get rid of the National Championship. Make the TNT Championship unofficially a cruiserweight belt,
mm,
and make the International Championship your Intercontinental title for the
yeah,
fella you give the title to before he goes to the main event.
mm-hmm,
Because the women, that's basically it for them.
yeah,
They've got the TBS Championship and they got the World Championship. And Willow Nightingale was the TBS champion, I think, was it like nearly like 7 months?
about that, yeah.
Do you know what? It wasn't. I'm wrong. She only had the title for 140 days.
Okay, but again, it's
Funnily enough,
yeah, but
funnily enough,
title
she
reigns are
beat
quite
Mercedes.
yeah,
Yeah, she also beat Mercedes Moné for the belt. So I did not know that. That adds a little extra fucking wrinkle to that match. Okay
yeah,
then. But so when she lost that, she won the women's championship within. She lost it December 31st, 2025. She won the women's championship within 6 months.
yeah,
That's perfect. That's a logical step from one title to the next.
mm,
The men's ones, there's just no differentiation between the four mid-card titles. There's just not.
yeah.
And WWE had a lot of championships at one point. As you said, you went European, Intercontinental, World Championship. It was a
Mm.
stepping stone to each of them. Maybe you had a tag team title in there at one point, to fuck
It
around
helps
with
when
as
you also
well.
have like an actual an actual wall between Raw and SmackDown. So like Raw and SmackDown will have 5 titles each. Um well, actually 6 as well if you count tag team belts. So you're certain like you at the
Yeah.
very least like I think the problem with like I don't think there's enough of a division between Dynamite and Collision. They're not like definitive brands that are separate to each other.
No, they're
So
just
you
two
can't say
shows
like
that they have on TV.
yeah, like I can see I can see a world where the World Championship is covered between 2 brands, like how they used to do the Undisputed title, which is a good way of doing it, like
Yeah.
World Champions. And then the International title lives here, the Continental Championship lives here, TNT lives on Dynamite, and and so forth for Collision. So like that, there's a world where that does make a certain level of sense. But I think the reason why AW don't do it is because again, there's this sort of inherent contrariness to how they operate. And again, not a criticism, it's an observation that whatever WWE do, they feel like they have to do the opposite as an alternative, as the kind of the
Yeah.
different opinion.
It's kind
And
of going
yeah,
down. It's kind of going down that TNA road at one point because I'm nearly certain TNA suffered from the same thing at one point. They had the
it is.
Legends
And I think like
Championship and the X Division Championship, and
mm,
they had a few of them, I think, knocking about at one point.
yeah, like
I'm gonna
TNA,
look
I
it
think
up.
you could argue also probably has too many belts as themselves as well. And I think they also do like they have a trios title knocking about there as well. So you could argue they probably have too many for the roster they
The
have too.
Trios Championship could be their way of using it for between your world title and your mid card title win.
Mm,
Put that on someone with maybe one younger lad below him and a veteran, which I think they've already started doing anyway, sort of, I think.
maybe. But
Like at
oh,
one point,
yeah.
TNA at one point had TNA World. Oh no, Jesus Christ! This is just all the different names for the World Championship over the years. God damn, they had so many names for that title.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! What's it like? Oh my God!
I'm glad you mentioned TNA in a sense because when I was thinking of AW being a kind of a credible or at least a viable alternative, TNA comes to mind. Now, TNA never really scaled up to the point where they really challenged WWE. I think they were very much kind of fell into those kind of delusions of grandeur. But I think even as a wrestling product, I think it actually was genuinely quite compelling. And
yeah,
especially in the Spike TV era. I'm not talking about this is well before Hogan and Bischoff kind of drove it into the ground. We're talking about and again, the reasons why I think TNA worked in a bubble was because it was providing something WWE weren't doing. So while WWE were kind of struggling to make new stars and they were kind of locked into the 3 or 4 that they had, kind of gradually rotating, still getting used to the likes of Ric Flair and The Undertaker up to that point. TNA had the X division, and they were all brand new stars, very high work rate, high energy, a lot of spots, a lot of athleticism, a lot of flips, but it was eye catching enough, and it was different enough to catch your attention. And the other selling point of TNA was the Knockouts division, where women were
Yeah.
actually wrestling as well as also being kind of like characters in that sense. Whereas in WWE, they were still eye candy and still doing pillow fights. So there was a two like unique selling points that TNA had over WWE. And AW's unique selling point, I think, is just the sheer mass of people. Like if I'm to give something that AW will give that WWE aren't at the moment, and this is very much current WWE product as opposed to old, is the fact they will give you a lot of content. It's a lot of wrestling on one
Yeah.
day, and that is probably its best selling point. It's probably too much wrestling, if anything, and it's almost like again as WWE turn to this direction, AEW go the opposite. So I suppose like for someone who doesn't tend to watch All In, I don't know if you're in the same boat yourself, Aaron, but like
I
how
might.
how significant is this All In going to be for AEW? Because we know that the way they run AEW is totally unsustainable. Like there is some they haven't turned a profit in their history. Um, this is the sort of show where they should be able to market it to hell and make a profit and kind of pay for the electricity bills for the next few months. But that's not how they operate business. Like this is a passion project for
Yeah.
the purposes. And how long can AEW continue on this path, or do they have to realize that that at some point the belt has to tighten, and they're not going to be creating their own stars, or even yet, do they even want to create their own stars when they can just like get people from the other side on juicier contracts?
It's not going to happen for another couple of years, but it will happen when the contract is up with the TNA with their TV deal.
Mm,
That would be where it is because they probably won't get renewed because Warner Brothers is going to be taken over by Paramount at that point, and I don't think Paramount are going to want wrestling. So I think that's going to become the point where Tony Khan's either going to go right balls to the wall still, or will we just finally have to scale down this roster, kind of shave off the fat,
mm.
and they will probably lose a pretty significant star on that point. I think MJF's contract is up on
I think a lot of people are
the
expecting
same
MJF
time.
to have jumped at that point. Yeah.
So I think that's where they'll have to go. Fuck, I need to make. They need to make a new star at that point.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, no matter what he says, he's got. Even though he says he's not going to do it, he's going to do it. Okay, let's be realistic here. He will. Um, they have to. If Kyle Fletcher isn't a bona fide main eventer at that point, what the fuck are we doing?
mm.
Because that seems to be the natural next big kind of, I wouldn't say face of the company, but definitely the next big star. Because as
Yeah.
well on top of that, if they lose MJF, Kenny Omega is probably either going to be retired or be in the Brock Lesnar form of things where he comes in once every 6 months, and maybe not even that, maybe once a year. Um, who else is there? John Moxley's going to be too old. Eddie Kingston's going to be too old. They'll
Like
have lost
Darby
Edge and
Allin's gonna be
Christian at that
broken,
point.
so I
They'll
don't think that's
probably
gonna be viable either.
either be both retired. Darby Allin's going to be broken. Yeah, he's going to be in a fucking wheelchair.
Heshida maybe?
Andrade's Andrade probably be back in WWE again. Who fucking knows
Mm,
for him? Um, they may have lost Monet at that point, possibly, maybe. Who fucking knows? I still think she'll end up back in WWE at some point.
mm,
Um, so they're gonna have to. He needs to look now at his roster and go right in 3 years' time. Who do I want to be a star?
mm.
Because if he doesn't do it now and he waits too late, they're going to hit the point with that TNA was in at one point.
Yeah.
They lost all their top stars. The GFW thing came in the space of like a year. They had lost like Bobby Roode, AJ Styles, um, Christopher Daniels was gone for a bit. Abyss was too old. Kazarian was gone, and
Mm.
they had absolutely fucking no one in their main event.
Yeah,
And having a
it's kind of
couple
what
of
they're in now
years,
at the moment where they're having to like frantically make up a new main event from like nothing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're gonna. He needs to build the company up, shave off all that fat that he has inside of that's just not needed.
Yeah.
Technically, I think Ric Flair stood on the contract at AEW. I
Mm.
think. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
The year of our Lord 2026. What are we doing here, lads?
Yeah.
So he's going to have to do it. The Bucks will be gone. That's another big start because there's no way they're going to be still doing what they're doing in 3 or 4 years' time. They're going to be done. So they have to plan now for the future because if they don't, they're fucking cooked. And they will not be in Wembley in 3 years' time because they won't sell enough tickets. It's gone down year on year. At this point, it seems like they might cap off at 40. Maybe.
Do you think it's that's down to the novelty kind of wearing off that they've always been able to do Wembley each time, or do you think it is because they're just not putting out their stall well enough to sell out that stadium?
That's it, because WWE could do it.
Okay.
WWE could run a WrestleMania in their 5 years on a post and sell it out every weekend.
Yeah.
Without fail, no problem at all.
And with less content, crucially.
With less content as well.
Yeah.
They could do it. And they could probably have a different main event in 3 of those. Easy. Even now, if you look at their roster, they did Wembley 5 years in a row. You probably see at least 3 different main events in amongst all of that.
Yeah, you expect a bit of sequelitis there, but that's understandable because that's you know going in that's what how WrestleManias are booked. So that's yeah.
And that's fine. But AEW is going to hit a point where they're not going to be able to set up Wembley anymore. Last year they had a crutch where they went, well, Taylor Swift was there like a couple of days beforehand. It's not an excuse, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
This year they don't have it, and they sold the same amount of tickets, if not less. Next year it could dip below 30,000, and there's going to be real questions on whether they ever do it again. Because I don't think they can. They won't have the star power. They refuse to change their style. They won't have the star power. They're not going to get a Cena to do it. They're not going to get a Reigns. Braun Breaker definitely would never go here. Femi's a WWE lifer. I think if he's not in WWE, he's not wrestling. They won't have the oomph behind them to do it again. And they'll probably do like the O2 Arena. It's not bad. I mean, WWE did Money in the Bank there. But still, you know?
Is Will Ospreay the next star on the tree then? Is that the individual they need to be that is going to be the next kind of like captain of the team? And that's if they are going to push a major baby face to be the face of the company, that's the person they're positioning to be, or is this just because it's at Wembley?
No, they will, but he'll fuck his neck again within a year. His style's too dangerous. He'll fuck his neck again within a year, and everyone will be wondering, oh, that's a shame. Where everyone that has been saying it since 2007, me, I've said, yes, obviously he was going to fucking bust his neck up. It's Will Ospreay. What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, that remains to be seen. That is the one thing. At least I'll be relatively cagey and see how this show goes. Like I said, after being starved so much with SummerSlam, I do at least want All In to be good. I want all AW to be good because I think, especially nowadays, we do need a serious alternative to WWE, and we need to kind of like. It's almost started looking further and further afield and further left field for stuff like this when there is a perfectly readily made rival right here ready to go, and we just want that rival to be turning in the right direction and doing the right things. If they give us a great All In platform to reset themselves creatively, that'd be great.
We just talked about AEW all this time. Not one of us mentioned at any point in this Hangman.
Well, Hangman is presumably going to be in the gauntlets, surely. Like that, I think that's probably a given, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. But we talked about future stars of the company, and Hangman didn't even pop up once.
But again, with Hangman had his big huge feud with MJF, and it was done, and then he had to do it again because, as you said, like it became so cyclical because there's so many people in that pond. Like it's like, the problem where no one really stands out. No one can get over because no one can stand out.
Yeah, let's go back through the last couple of main events for AEW. Right, this year we have the two lads. Last year was Hangman's big, we say, WrestleMania-esque moment where he beat Jon Moxley for the belt.
Yeah, which was a great moment. It was a great moment and a great ending to the story. Perfectly fine.
And then he had the belt.
The chase is always better than what comes after. I don't mind that. In fairness, it's so hard to book babyface title reigns sometimes.
They managed to do it with Cody WWE.
Yeah,
but every time they give Hangman the belt, it goes down like a fart in church.
Yeah, but again,
So
that's also that is why Cody Rhodes is so good at what he does. It is very hard to be a babyface
yeah,
champion. He is a white elephant.
like
It's so hard to get a John Cena in this day
yeah,
and age.
yeah. The year before that, you had Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland.
Yeah.
Fine, that's fine.
Mm.
I know people loved the match. I thought it was grand.
It was okay. It was good.
It was fine.
Good, not good,
It
not
was a
good,
good
but not
match.
great.
Put it this way, it worked because of the arena it was in. That wouldn't have
Yes.
worked in a fucking arena with 10,000 people.
Yeah.
The year before that, then, which was the first one, what did you
MJF
do
and Adam
for?
Cole. Yeah, that one
MJF.
I
That
didn't
one
mind
was
the match.
good.
I'll be honest.
I liked it, but did not enjoy the whole draw thing. And then going, we can't have a draw at
Yeah.
Wembley, and then going on. I hate that they've done that in WWE a couple of times as well, and every time it's like,
I also didn't like the story of that match either. Like, it was a very much a stitch on melodrama at the end. It just didn't work. Should have just kept it as a straight
yeah,
match. But again,
yeah,
this is the sort of stuff that you iron out with, like, say, like a couple of shows in. Sometimes you do like those kind of like spots and segments or stories, and they don't work, or there's limited returns on them. I don't think after like a couple, like this is now the sixth All In, they kind of know how this shit works now at this stage. You know what is going to work and what isn't. Send the crowd home happy. Ospreay title win. Maybe Monet wins the title. So they're your two new faces of the company. That's logical to me. Now again, swerve for the sake of a swerve. We don't know how else is that's going to play out, but we will see. Do you have any wild fucking predictions you want to make before All In? What's the daftest thing you can
I
think of?
I wouldn't say daft. I think Tony might not give the belt to Monet. He probably will,
Mm.
but maybe not.
My daft thing is that MJF will win the Casino Gauntlet match and then he'll immediately cash it in on Ospreay and win the title to end Wembley.
Oh, I'm saying if Tony does that, I will not say a bad word about him for like a week. That
Okay, so
would be
maybe not that crazy then.
fucking phenomenal if he took away, if it was the Daniel Bryan winning the World Championship, Randy Orton cashing in thing.
That's what I was thinking
That
of.
would
Yeah.
be fucking class. Oh my god, that would be decent. I would love every second. I'll watch it. If that happens, I'll watch the whole show. I'm telling you right now, I will watch all of All In the weekend afterwards and review it on this show. Much like how Jerry did it at the Woodshed. I will review that show. If that happens, I'll review the show.
Okay.
I'll watch it from start
I'll
to
hold you
finish
to that.
without-
I'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so that's our All-In preview pod from both sides of the tracks. So when we come back on Watch Graps, we'll be talking about the show itself. We'll see if it's lived up to the expectation. Has it caught us by off guard, or has filled exactly to the brief that all the sickos want? We'll find out on the next episode of GrapsWatch. But for now, thank you very much for listening. Check us out on our new Madness Discord for more discourse like this, or to keep up on all of other episodes of GrapsWatch and all the other stuff that we do here on Monday Madness. But until then, from myself, from Aaron, thank you very much for jumping on for to be the contrarian in the room for this one. And also very much for thanks to Dave and Kieran then for their contributions as well from further on in the timeline than we are right now. So they will obviously know more than we do, goes without saying. But until then, lads, thank you very much for listening and enjoy the graps. We'll see you at the next episode.